God.
Oh my God, we're on.
Oh, we're live. Okay, there was meant to be... Oh, I also can't spell, sorry. There was meant to be music playing for that first minute or so, just before you joined us, and there you go.
Oh, that was me, not you. I'm pointing at your laptop, like, accusatorily. Is
Nope.
that even a word? Am I just inventing words again?
Accusatory.
Accusatorily. Yeah, because it is accusatory,
Yeah.
but it's an adverb, so what do you do?
Ooh.
English with Pedalbox.
Don't like...
Yeah, I'm back!
Do not like... Well, no, like that. Do not like... Why? What are you doing? Stop with this shush. Right, okay, now I can monitor the stream. See? Seamless entry.
We're very good at
Entry.
this.
Entry.
At least we started on time.
Right, we're just going to stop the stream for a minute. Everybody just... I can delete this bit off. It'll be fine.
Yep.
Yes, the Lego Porsche was built on... What day did we do the thing? Tuesday?
I don't know why you're
Monday.
looking at me when you
You weren't
ask
even
that,
here.
'cause
13th.
Saturday.
in the past.
What?
We tried to do a stream on Friday.
No, Saturday, and we did it Sunday instead.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Right, Sunday, that's when we built the Lego Porsche.
Oh, yeah,
Because
we were going to do Sunday roast, but...
it was
then
Sunday,
we-
as Vic says. Vix would know because she was on it. She was the one actually building the Porsche, whilst I was frantically trying to remember the rules that I'd kind of ad hocly done. To
Because
try
you've
and
got
make things
cake off
work.
to announce, haven't you?
Well, we've announced the cake off
Right.
and gone through some of the rules and various other bits. I still need to make the website for it. Like the first day is the 1st of December, so I've got time. So that's not really a problem. But yes, we do need to go through and actually put out some criteria. And we were still workshopping the criteria, which of course I can't remember because I wrote it down on a piece of paper and it's...
I don't know
not
where it's
here.
gone. I can't see anything
No,
around
I
here.
can't see
All
it.
I can see is kibble. So much kibble.
Yeah, is Loki? Nope, no, Loki's not in here at all. Anyway, oh, I also forgot to pick up the new shiny.
Nice.
Smooth.
Well, do you want to go do that while I explain what I forgot?
Yeah, you
Cool.
do that. I'll
So, Wilade goes and grabs...
shoehorn my way out of here a second.
Yeah. Wilade goes and grabs the new hotness that he forgot to bring through. I need to announce something. Unfortunately, part of the job for this stream was supposed to be me doing some CAD modelling on an exhaust manifold for the rover. I finally got all of the bits and pieces together that I need to really start actually making some progress on the turbo build. And I've redone my manifold flange model, which is like the actual plate that I have to bolt onto the cylinder head. Made a whole bunch of progress on there. And yesterday, I had an offer from a friend to make me a tubular manifold. Now, there's no way in hell I'm going to be modelling a tubular manifold on CAD. I don't even know how to model a log manifold, so this is just completely off limits. Now, I was going to try and fail to model a log manifold, but really, since I'm now going to have a nice 304 stainless
Yes.
tubular jobby made up, there's really no point.
There is really no point. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'd forgotten. Literally, like, I loaded up the CAD model for the flange that I've done because actually the one that we have on the stream thumbnail I deleted because I'm an idiot. Yeah, go me.
Smooth.
I did that usual thing where I forgot to enable autosave and then I forgot to save and then I rebooted my laptop because go me.
That's off now. It'll survive.
That's
It's fine.
I was going to say, I do that with MS Project only. With MS Project and work, like that's significantly
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
I
there's a
need
lot
to
more
enable
riding
autosave.
on yours.
Yeah. So I've remade it, which thankfully it turns out once you've done it like once or twice, you kind of have a pretty good feel for how to make it. So I've remade the CAD model. It's not super interesting. It is literally just a flange. It's like a 2D sketch that I've extruded a bit.
Yeah.
So there's really not. Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot interesting to talk about on it.
No,
But-
I mean, you work out how you've done it and
Yeah.
how you've modelled
So
it. Is probably
there is
the best
actually
way to go.
Yeah. So the big revelation on this, Yola, do you want to throw a little pip up of this?
Yeah.
It's not super engaging, so I wouldn't bother taking up the whole screen for it. But definitely, a pip should be fine. So yeah, for a long time I was actually really worried about how I'd go about the turbo build on this. The big problem that I've got is on the SD1, it has a fairly weird exhaust manifold, and the bolt holes are really quite close to the exhaust ports. And I was basically looking at the size of the ports on the cylinder head, where the actual exhaust gas comes out of the engine, and the size of the bolt holes, and where the bolt heads would be. And you've got kind of the exhaust port there, the bolt hole there. Obviously, you've then got the bolt head comes out to there, then you've got a socket goes over the bolt. And I was looking at all the numbers, I'm like, there's just no way this all fits together. The solution Rover went for is, you've got the exhaust, what would you call it, like the exhaust flange of the cylinder head here. and the exhaust manifold has all the individual runners come up, the 6 runners come up onto the head, but rather than bolting in to a flange on the head, the flange is actually back about 2 inches spaced away from the head.
Oh,
and you bolt through. It doesn't have. Well, I'll see if I can pull up a screenshot real quick. I'm going to have to go digging through my own Discord server's archives.
Because there's runners on the VR does much the same. You
don't
have runners off the bottom, and then the manifold goes onto that, because otherwise you can't bolt kind of down through the manifold under yourself.
It will make more sense when you see the image. So that there is what the SD1 has. So this piece here.
Oh, but it's all cast in, right?
Yes,
okay.
it's all completely cast in. So
the VR is a separate separate runner set that fits on.
So, but when you see this installed, and I don't think I've got any readily available pictures of this installed, but you can kind of see the image
still
there.
Getting over this cold.
Fair enough.
Definitely not COVID. Tested
Hopefully, definitely, yeah. But you can see like this big, horrible, like rusty, manky outline of where the runner fits up against it, and you can look. There's literally just a couple of mil of clearance between the bolt hole and the runner.
Yeah,
and when you see the bolts running past the collector tubes, you're like, there's no, like, I can't put a flange against the manifold. But it turns out, when you're doing a turbo manifold, I was talking to Dylan, who I still need to we need to get him on the stream at some point, because he's built some serious stuff.
Dylan could easily be categorized as a stupid turbo man.
Yes.
Not because he's
not
stupid.
Not in, like, stupid ways, but like,
he does stupid things with turbos, and we approve of
He's clever
this
stupid.
Yeah, he's clever stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, but why would you do that? Why not? Fair point.
Yeah.
Looking for is creative.
Yes.
Creative
Actually,
turbo man.
I don't know if I've managed to share any pictures of his 1UZ NA on the streams before.
Probably not.
Because like the last time I was on a stream was a while ago, so I probably don't have images of it. So this guy's building an NA Mazda MX-5 or Miata, if we've got any Americans in chat, with is it a 4 litre or a 4.4? I can't remember the Toyota 1UZ engine. It's the V8.
4 litre.
Yeah, that we actually considered very, very briefly to go in the project car, in the kit car.
All aluminium.
Yeah, quite compact, quite light, and everything.
It's the modern Rover V8.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think. Yeah, and so he's putting one of those and a honking great big turbo, a Holset HX52. In a Gen 1 Mazda MX-5, which I think is adequately silly. There's not enough room in the engine bay for the radiator, so he's relocated that into the boot. And you should see the cooling fan setup. I'll dig those out in a minute. I'll have to forward them from my phone into Discord or something. But yeah, I was talking to him about exhaust manifold design, like how do I solve this problem? Because what we went for, and again, I've been stupid.
How do you solve a problem like packaging?
Yes.
First, get a degree.
Yes.
Second, get a
Thankfully,
master's. Third, get a professional to teach you how to do it.
Thankfully, I don't have to be good at packaging. There's so much room in the SD1's engine bay that packaging is easy.
Yeah,
it's just this specific detail about how my manifold fits together. But yeah, anyway, I was talking to Dylan about this, and he goes, just put smaller tubes on. Like, well, won't that choke the flow? Like, you want big collectors so that exhaust can flow freely out of the engine. And normally, conventional rules, yes, you do. You do want relatively big collectors so that you've got a very unrestricted exhaust path. The idea being, the easier it is for exhaust to get out of the engine, the less work the piston has to do on its way up through the bore on the exhaust stroke to push the exhaust out. And you want the exhaust to flow out as easily as possible.
You don't lose... There's not too much back pressure that you're
stifling. You want no back pressure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in an ideal world, you make your headers such a length that the pulse from one cylinder comes out, and the momentum of it creates a vacuum behind it that pulls the pulse out of the next cylinder. But like, that's weird details. But in turbo land, you actually don't necessarily want to minimise back pressure out of the engine. Right. You do want to minimise it, but it's not like the be-all and end-all. Yeah, it's not the only thing that you're optimising for. So on a naturally aspirated engine, you do want to minimise back pressure. That's it. That's your tuning criteria. In a turbo engine, you also want to keep your exhaust gas flow velocity high, because the turbine converts velocity into boost. It doesn't convert pressure into boost.
So smaller runners would result
it keeps it moving faster through So smaller primaries, the gas has to move through at a higher velocity, because you've got the same amount of gas to go through a narrower pipe, right? So it has to go through faster.
Yeah.
You've then got faster exhaust gas hitting your turbine, so you get faster spool. In theory, it brings your boost threshold down, so the number of RPM you have to be doing for the turbo to spin up is lower, and when you get to that RPM, it spins up faster. So wins all round.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And yet, for some reason, I would have thought not.
Yeah, it's like it hadn't occurred to me as soon as he
Yeah.
said, "Well, you want exhaust velocity?" I'm like, "Of course you bloody do."
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
The trade-off is, by doing that, you are restricting your theoretical maximum gas flow, which brings down your maximum power number.
Yes.
But-
there is a point at which you want to move back the other direction.
Yeah, because it's like if you have too thin of a
Yes.
port, like
you can't move enough mass of
you
air.
yeah, you eventually hit the speed of sound, and you can't get air out of it quick enough, and that's bad. Although you do get monstrously fast spool, the problem is then like it limits your maximum power number. But because I'm only aiming for a relatively modest amount of power,
Yes.
and I have 6 collectors to do it through because
Yeah.
it's a 6-cylinder engine, basically I'm fine.
Yeah,
it
you
turns out a 1.5-inch ID collector on like an RB26 or a 2J or whatever, like you can get 700 plus horsepower. I think I've seen people claim 1,500 horsepower on 1.5-inch collectors. So like 1.25 inch on the Rover, where I'm targeting 300 at the wheels.
Yeah.
Like
Seems-
I'm fine.
It seems very
Yeah,
reasonable.
very
at
very
that
reasonable.
point. Yeah.
And considering especially like I'm optimizing for drivability, I want it to spool low down and I want it to spool fast.
Yes.
Because my dream world is I don't have to pull the transmission, except if I explode it
Which
by
you
too
might.
much torque, which I definitely might.
But yeah.
But in my ideal world, I'm able to put the turbo on, install it, get it all wired up and mapped and everything,
Yeah.
and then I can sit at some traffic lights, stand on the brake and the accelerator and load the torque converter up,
Yeah.
and spool the turbo before I'm moving, because the engine
Yeah.
gets to about 2,000, 2,300 or so RPM, stalling the converter. So if I can get spool at $2,000 or less, I have boost from launch.
Yeah.
And that's going to be amazing. It's going to absolutely transform the car, because first
Yes.
gear is a 60-mile-an-hour gear.
It's
So like,
as we've seen, it is not pedestrian.
off
'Cause it
the
does
line,
move off the line. It is.
it's like launching in like just a bit taller than second in any other car. That's how tall first is, in it.
Yeah.
It's like by the time you're doing 40 and another car would have had to change gears, it doesn't feel too bad. Like it's still not fast, don't get me wrong, not a fast car, but at least by that point you're no longer, Jesus, what am I driving out of treacle here? Because you've already gone up a gear or two and everything's a bit different. But off the line it has nothing.
The
So
first
getting
the
getting the
probably
boost down is good.
1 to 2 seconds off the line in the SD1 are glacial.
Yes.
But compared to most
Yeah.
other things, once
Yeah.
it's going, once it's rolling, and like it starts to get over.
Yeah,
the
once it
fact
gets
that it's
into a
massive
normal
tall
car's
gear,
second
it's like,
gear, yeah.
Right, cool, fine.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty glacial, like. Oh, it's like me getting out of a chair.
3-speed life.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh god, sometimes need a
Yeah.
push. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting it off the line fast is going to be amazing. So yeah, if those smaller primaries help the turbo spin spool up faster,
Aid's saying about
All the better.
buggering the torque converter. I presume you mean by stalling the torque converter.
if you stall it for too long,
If
yeah,
you
so
can, absolutely, which is like, that's the gap. You
Yeah.
want it
And
stored
the-
long enough to be good, but not long enough that you just
to be fair,
kill it.
the converter's perfectly happy. You
It's
can
almost
you can do
oil.
whatever you want. Yeah, the basic thing is like, say for the sake of argument, the engine is making, it's turning 2,000 RPM. It's making some number of torques. That I don't know what the number will be. I'm not even going to try and guess. But it's going to be making some amount of torque at some RPM. That's going to multiply out to some number of kilowatts of power or horsepower of power. And all of that, if you're not moving, is being turned into heat inside the converter.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like it has to
So-
go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
In,
So if you're
on
making
this channel, we obey the laws of thermodynamics.
So, like, if the engine's making 30 kilowatts or 40 horsepower or whatever, because it's stalled, it's not turning, or maybe it's 60, or maybe it's 100, whatever, you can think of it like just a brutally powerful kettle. And I'm thinking, like, the amount of oil that's in the converter, it's several litres of oil.
It's a couple of quarts normally minimum.
It's going to be a fair bit. And it's also
about 3 litres or
circulating with the
something.
transmission.
And it's
So
got a cooler on it as
yeah.
well, which you have a
I-
fan on potentially.
Granted,
as well.
I don't think the cooler's going to do anything. I think it's just the mass the mass of oil that's in the system. Bearing in mind I'm stationary, the cooler's going to be
Well, if
moving.
you've got a
couple-
fan pulling through, though.
In any case,
Yeah.
right? There's a fair bit of oil for it to heat up. And okay, it's a lot more powerful than a kettle. I'm expecting, I don't know, maybe like 50, 60 kilowatts ish of heat going into this thing. Like, it's not going to be making full torque, and it's going to be at quite low RPM, which
yeah, probably.
you're getting quite quadratic scaling down from my target of 220 kilowatts.
It's a good 10 kettles.
Yeah,
That's-
safely you can go. And how long would it take 10 kettles to boil, I don't know, 3 litres of water? It seems like a while. So that's basically where I'm at. Is like there's enough oil in here that I can definitely stall it for
It would be over 60 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's a lot longer than the couple of seconds
Even
it'll take to
spread
get the revs
across.
up and make boost. Revs come up, turbo spools up, off I go. Like I'm not going to be sat there
Maybe
for
maybe
ages.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
In any case, like it's longer than 5 seconds.
Yes, yeah.
That's kind of the important part.
Yeah.
So you're right. I could absolutely roast the oil, and that in turn would roast the transmission and the torque converter and everything else. But
by the same token, if
Yeah.
you're sat at a set of lights and it's on red, and you're already on the, if you're already on the brakes, as soon as it goes orange,
Exactly.
then you can plant it, and that you shouldn't be sat there for more than about 5 seconds before people behind you go, "Why? What are you doing?" BMWs in particular will already be on the horn
yeah.
as soon as the yellow
Yeah.
light goes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So like it's probably fine, but it is definitely something to keep in mind if you're like doing this a lot. If you're standing on the like if you've built like a proper full bore race engine or something, and you've got like a high stall convert, like
Yeah.
the Yanks doing the drag racing, where they've got high stall converters that are stalling at like 4.5 grand, and they're putting mountains of torque into them. Like these are engines that can easily be putting, I don't know, like 500 kilowatts or so of heat into the converter. Then you really have to worry about this, because all of a sudden you're looking at that is a huge amount of heat. That is 100 kettles heating up
Yes,
your oil.
that is a lot.
So yeah, I think it's a much bigger concern for them. But as far as I'm concerned, if they can do it on those engines, I can get away with it on my very pathetic little 2.6 with a turbo that big. So it's probably fine. I think I'll be good. But yeah, so small primaries, and the nice thing is with the small primaries, I do get down to a point where I can, rewinding a hell of a lot now. with these small primaries, I found Schedule 10 pipe fittings are narrow enough on the outside that I can actually fit those onto a flange directly onto the cylinder head. I can't put I can't use like hex bolts or studs and nuts to hold the flange in
It
place.
does look a little bit like I'm just feeding Chris's ankles here, but I'm
He's-
not.
he's
There is
giving my
actually a
knees
tab
trouble.
under here. That...
But no, I can put Torx bolts in there, and I'm fine. And I went up and checked the specs on the Torx bolts that would fit the T50s, and they'll take 130 newton meters of tightening torque, which is hopefully enough to not strip the threads out. Sorry, not enough to strip the threads out of my cylinder head. So yeah, I think I'm good. I've worked out a plan for the turbo. Dylan has offered to try and get the flange cut out. If he can't, I still have contact with the company that I spoke to a couple of years ago when I first designed one of these flanges for the SD1. A couple of years back, I think it was in 2018, back when I worked in Formula E. I contacted, I think there's a company called Waterjet Cutting, very imaginatively named. They do waterjet cutting, you might have guessed.
Really?
Yeah. And I sent them in the CAD files for like a much earlier version of the flange. And I was like, look, there's a couple of folks in the forum and in the Facebook groups kind of interested in tuning the 2600. This feels like a useful thing to get a batch of done.
Yeah.
140 quid to get one made just for me. £200 to get 4 made.
Yes.
I'm like, well, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yes. You get
Like-
3 done, sell them at 80 quid a pop, and yours is free.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if I don't do that, like even if I go evens on it, like it's 50 quid. Like,
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, that would be assuming that anyone wants to buy them and that. But yeah, like
Nope, he's not
I'm
gonna-
definitely getting more than one made if it comes to that. So yeah, I've got a plan now to. I've sent the CAD files over to Dylan, so he's going to get in touch with his guys, see if he can get them cut. Dylan's hopefully going to TIG me up the tubular manifold. Then I can actually hang the turbo. Oh, I did try to hang the turbo. I can't remember if I put pictures of that in the Pedalbox Discord or not. Can you talk for a minute while I see if I can?
Yes, I
dig those
can.
out?
Sorry, Tom's just asked if you've missed
Excellent.
the SD1 news. The SD1 news is by and large that the
water pump is still broken.
water pump is very, very broken, even though it's a newish water pump.
Yes.
I say newish, new to
Freshly
Chris.
removed from a 40-year-old broken SD1.
Yeah. Basically, the gorilla that pulled it off has managed to crack it whilst removing the hose from it.
No, while
'cause
removing-
I've only seen a very small picture
Yeah.
of the actual damage
So-
to it.
Like most engines, the water pump sits on the end of the block. And if you like, when you take the water pump off, you've got like a little window, and you can actually see cylinder one's liner right there, because it's
Yeah.
basically the whole end of the block, more or less, is the water pump face, which is quite neat. Now the block is iron, happy days, nice and strong, loads of prying strength. The water pump housing made of aluminium, and I'm guessing the engine that it came off of it is probably like silicone sealed on quite well or something. And the guy taking it apart must have just shoved a screwdriver in there and tried to take. So you've got the end of the engine there, the water pump, and there's 2 coolant. I'm doing this all the wrong way around for the camera to see anything.
Yes.
So you've got the end of the engine here, water pump on the end with 2 coolant lines out this way, and the guy must have shoved a pry bar in here and tried to, you know, prise it off the engine that way. And in doing so, he managed to do.
We do have pictures of this. So this is the reason that the SD1 hasn't had a lot of work done here, and thus hasn't actually featured on the channel very much.
Yes.
Because getting it back here is currently proving tricky.
Yeah.
We thought
So-
it had been overheating, but it was fine. Eventually, obviously, it's had its new radiator in, which did go on. So
Yeah, I've got the images.
everything is all good on that front, but unfortunately this water pump eventually kind of maybe failed, and
Yes.
then the new one went on because you were smart and you bought this nearly 12 months ago now, maybe more.
I bought it a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I found this water pump, viscous coupling, and fan stack on eBay for less than a spare water pump normally goes for because these are kind of unobtainium. Now in this picture,
as Tom says, 2600s, they're super hard to find.
yeah, they're not easy to get bits for, unfortunately, because the V8's got all the love, which I kind of understand. It's more powerful, it sounds better, it gets roughly similar fuel economy.
And it's used in everything that's in the
Yeah,
UK.
there's so much other aftermarket for it, whereas this engine only ever went in the Rover. As I said, probably 7 times too many in my episode on the teardown.
Out of curiosity, can you think of a British manufacturer that hasn't used the Rover V8? Because Lotus have, Land Rover have, Jaguar have, TVR have.
Aston Martin.
uh,
Jaguar didn't use it, I don't think.
Well,
I thought they
JLR, I mean.
had. Well, yeah, if you're cheating a bit, I'll grant.
Cheating a little bit. Modern JLR, yes, okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. But yeah,
I'm ashamed to admit I'm drawing a blank on British manufacturers.
Lotus,
My brain just cannot.
But Marcos did. Obviously,
Does Marcos really count? They're a kit car company.
no, Marcos sold whole cars. They also did kit
Oh,
cars
wow,
as
okay.
well, but like the Mantula Spider and the Mantula all those.
Don't mind me
that
just
was-
showing my whole ass here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any. Like, sorry, I'm admittedly ignoring Vauxhall because they're Opel and GM, so they have their own.
I mean, I
many
feel like
options.
if your question is, did any British car manufacturers
Right,
not use the
solely
V8
British.
apart from major
Solely-
manufacturers?
Solely British.
Yeah.
Well, you say Rover's not a major manufacturer. I mean, it's not anymore,
Yeah.
but like across history, you go through British Leyland, even as individual points, and you've got MG, Triumph.
Yeah, I mean, British
eventually.
Leyland is kind of British cars.
Yeah.
Government
Yeah.
just kind of had all of them. So yeah, two pictures here. So this one's looking
I'm-
forward
so
from the
one
back.
sec.
Yeah.
I'm rolling Mini into British Leyland, Austin, Rover, and all the rest.
I mean,
of
I've
them
seen
there,
minis with
Owen.
Rover V8s in anyway, so
Yeah,
that counts.
exactly. Yeah, counted.
VW used the Rover V8 thanks to some crazy person on the internet with a Mark 1. I feel like I'm reaching a little bit. But no, like, the V8 was
Technically.
massively widely used. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guessing everyone's seen that episode of Top Gear where they did a send-off for the Rover V8 and they had
Everything
this
they could
massive
possibly
array
find,
of
yeah.
vehicles that had
Yeah.
used it, and there's all sorts. There's vans, there's little sports cars, there's big estates, there's
Mhm.
absolutely everything behind them.
You name it, it's there.
Yeah, and it's actually, I think it's the only British engine I can think of that really parallels American usage of V8s. So like the small block Chevy went into everything.
Yes.
The big block Chevy probably also went into everything as well. But
less things because
Yeah,
the small
'cause the
block
size,
went in
yeah.
the smaller in the
yeah, but
compact.
it's like yeah. But it's like, yeah, that they had this one engine, and yeah, fine, there were a bunch of different versions of it, but they were of the Rover V8 as well. Different displacements and tuning levels and everything, but it just went in so much stuff. And I think it's the only British engine I can think of that is like on the same level of being used in such a wide variety of machinery. So yeah, really
That's
easy to get
here,
water pumps for the V8, not so easy for the 2600. So yeah, I bought this.
As you
on
say,
eBay.
Slowbird, it's not even basically a Buick V8.
It
It
is,
is
yeah.
a Buick V8.
So-
They just scrubbed the name out from.
I'll tell you what, the part that really surprised me, right? Normally, when you think of American stuff, you think of big and bulky and heavy and solid, right?
Yeah.
And like this is not an obvious thing. Oh, the Rover V8 is aluminium and light. That's not where I'm going. Where I'm going is that when Rover got it, they're like, Buick put too much metal in this,
Yeah, just
and they
screw
actually
it.
made it lighter.
Yeah.
They did pull out
Yeah.
a bunch of metal from it.
I mean,
and
it
like that
doesn't-
is not the way round I'd normally expect.
It doesn't
to go.
surprise me that the American
Sorry, no,
castings of
wrong
that-
way round. Wrong way round. I'm being dumb. That's why it broke tradition, because Rover made it heavier. They added metal to it. Sorry, I'm being again showing my whole ass.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so this is the problem with the. This isn't the problem with the water pump.
That
Well,
is.
This
I'm
is,
looking at
this,
that
This
screen.
is the problem with the water pump.
No, it's fine.
No, we've got it on here.
So yeah, anyway, I'm guessing it was suctioned onto the engine that it was being dismantled from pretty hard, and the guy shoved a screwdriver in, and you can see this dip here.
Wow.
In the bottom of that, now this is a phone picture, so the quality's kind of not great, but that in there is actually a crack all the way into the inside, and from the inside, like you can see, it's really, really punched in. We have actually put a light against it and shone through and everything. Now I tried with a 300-watt soldering iron that I bought for soldering copper mesh for lithium-ion battery bus bars, because this is like little steps towards the van that I'd like to build one day, and I was working on a power system, and as the current numbers I need copper mesh. Anyway, so I bought this ridiculous soldering iron. We had that soldering iron and a little blue flame torch. It wasn't like a proper blowtorch or anything. It was a kind of creme brulee sort of deal. Unfortunately, was not enough to get the aluminium warm enough for the solder to stick. All the solder was just pouring off the sides of it. So this is still not fixed. I need to find a mate with a TIG machine who can just go done. Just melt it back over, because it'll be nothing. Like, that'll take seconds.
Speaking of TIG,
yes, I should have brought it with me.
You should have.
I should have brought it with me. We could go to Ignition and say, "Hi, please fix."
Because
it would have been nothing.
Very, very recently, we actually got round to dropping off the exhaust.
You can knock the screen off now,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
or whoever's in charge of the.
Yeah, Yolanda's on that.
Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. you,
Sam's just said that Top Gear said the SD1 was the best thing the Rover V8 ever went in. And
I think
honestly,
a lot would disagree, but
Cerberus.
Yeah, no, I think this.
Cerberus.
I think no. Now the Cerberus, I think no.
Or the Chimera, actually. Either of those.
Right. Controversial opinion. The Cerberus is a better sports car than the SD1.
Yes.
Arguably a better car, depending on what you want in a car. I don't think there's really an objective answer.
I don't think we're.
However,
I don't think we're rolling reliability into
No.
this equation, are we?
However, I think the Rover V8 was the wrong engine for the Cerberus and various other TVRs.
I mean,
TVR were at their peak when they did the Speed 6, and I know that was a long time after the Rover V8. Like, if you wanted a relatively beefy engine in the 80s and 90s and you were British, you got the Rover V8. But I do think TVRs were better served by revier, angrier engines than the Rover V8. And
yeah,
I wonder
the
if that's
Speed
it.
12
Like,
is obviously like...
Yeah, it's kind of the pinnacle
Chef's
of that.
kiss.
The car that's so powerful, even Peter Wheeler didn't... Was it Wheeler or Smolensky didn't oversaw that one?
Weird,
And
I
went,
think.
this is too much.
Yes,
we cannot make and sell
in
this.
all good conscience, we
Yeah.
cannot possibly sell this
Yeah.
car to people.
But I think
beyond the one that we went, yeah, sure, we'll build. If you finance it, we'll build it.
Yeah.
Oh God, never again.
But I think the idea is the matchup between the SD1, nice, big, comfortable Grand Tourer cruiser car, and the V8. I think that is the perfect matchup.
Yeah. So Owen's just said the SD1 would look much better as an estate. Interestingly,
No, it does not.
I've seen one good-looking version of it.
Yeah, it's definitely not the one I've seen.
It was written off in the back, so they grafted on
Okay.
a 240 estate top. And the lines actually run in nicely, and it works.
That's questionable.
I'm going to see.
Do you
if
want
I
to see if you can dig
find-
that out?
Yeah.
I haven't actually got chat up for once. I've usually got chat open to keep tabs
Yeah.
on what's going on.
I
What
can
have I
say
got?
we
There was-
ask Aid to make us a car.
There was one.
Did I miss the SD1 news?
Somebody
No,
did.
Tom, you did not.
Yeah. We did,
Oh, this is a while ago. Yeah, sorry.
so yeah, the SD1 prototype I like. You're going to have to throw this on your screen, Chris, because you have the cable.
Also, I'm
currently.
just digging up a quick picture of the official. Oh, wait, you know what? I think I've just found the one with the.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah. So the factory.
It looks alarmingly good. So I've got the factory one that I've just sent you a picture of,
Okay,
which is
cool.
that one, I
Yes.
think, almost certainly.
So this is an estate SD1, and I'm sorry, Owen. I usually agree with you. I usually like wagons, but no, not this time. Just no. This red one. So did you say this was a 240 grafted on?
So that is a 240 back end grafted on.
I mean, I can kind of see it. It does definitely look goofy though, where you can see it
Just the
tapering
little-
down for the doors,
Yeah,
and it
there
kind of has
is-
to split apart.
There was a better picture of it that I found somewhere. I'm
It's
trying to
very
work out
definitely in a
where.
state of its error, though, isn't it?
Um,
Like they haven't really worked out how to make the rear face of an estate look good yet. I don't think the Volvo managed it because it fit with the whole blocky aesthetic of the car, but no, this is. I'm sorry, the estate needs to be. Sorry, the SD1 even needs to be a fastback. What have you got, Aid? What are you working on?
I'm trying to find that.
Wait, is that? Is this the same one? Because that doesn't have the roof.
No, so
splitting apart.
no,
That's
the
not
the,
factory,
the,
is it?
the prototype one, the factory one didn't have that. So if you look at the one I put in Discord,
Where have I put Discord?
there
There it is.
it's in Stream Dump.
Nonsense.
Yeah,
There we go.
it's in the MISC Stream Dump.
Oh yeah, no, fair
So
enough.
that is
yeah,
that's the prototype one, which I think looks really, really good.
I mean,
I really like that.
I just don't.
For its era, it's a really good looking estate.
I suppose, yeah, but by the standards of the era, when estates, frankly, all look like shit, it's not bad.
Yeah.
The problem is that profile, ignoring my missing C pillar trim.
Yeah.
Is that a C or a D pillar?
C pillar.
Yeah.
A, B,
Ignoring the
C.
missing trim there. I just think it's almost a perfect silhouette. It's a shame that picture doesn't
Yeah,
have
you don't
the
have that.
spoiler
Yeah,
on,
that's
'cause
the
it's an
very old.
photo.
That's from episode 13 when we started doing
Yeah.
the fleet.
Oh, is that
stuff.
when we did the tour of the whole? Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's such a it's such a nice profile of the car. You shouldn't mess with it by making it an estate.
But yeah, I
They
think
did,
it was Sheldon, Classic Britain,
Yeah.
put the thing up.
Put the thing up.
It was on his Twitter.
Yeah, some guy in his garage
somewhere.
made a better Rover estate than Rover did.
Yeah, it potentially yes.
Almost looks as bad as the Allegro estate. Now, I don't actually know. Apparently, I can't type today. It's because I know I'm being watched.
Yeah.
I see what you mean by almost as bad.
Yes,
This may
nope.
actually be worse.
That is worse.
That just looks like you've just pulled the end of the car out a little bit.
It looks too long, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I don't know why, because that's
it's exactly
a normal...
the same length.
Yeah.
It's a regular Allegro wheelbase.
Is it just the
everything
one
from
massive
the
rear
window
window on the 3 doors? Is that what makes it look too long?
I think if they'd
Just
lent
one
it
big-
forward a bit and it had been a slightly longer, more like
Yeah.
a modern estate, which are always slanted forward a little bit, that is too square for its length. It needs to be forward a little bit.
Someone get on Photoshop, get like the warp tool and just like tweak it in a little bit to see what it looks like.
Gonna show my lack of car knowledge, but
Right.
what does an Allegro look like normally? By
Terrible.
comparison?
With a square
Or staying.
steering wheel. Literally has a square steering wheel.
Was it
albeit
square or squircular?
It was squircular.
The SD1's is a squircle.
No.
I don't think
was
it's
gonna
as aggressive
not
as
like
the
the
Allegros.
Allegro. The Allegro is
Sounds like a
proper
squashed SD1
squircular.
shape. Was
That's
that
not
just
an
a
Allegro,
popular
is it?
shape?
It might not be the generation of Allegro
That's
that
not
you
the
had
fir-
in
yeah,
mind.
that's not the first gen Allegro. That must be the last, like a face.
Would it be called a Mark 1 or a Gen 1?
Mark 1?
Every manufacturer has different different trends in their world.
Is that sloping back super popular for that era then?
I wouldn't say it's super popular, but it's common-ish.
Oh, okay.
We actually had a whole conversation earlier on what constitutes a hatchback versus a not so much a hatchback versus like other popular shapes like wagons and sedans, but there is annoying overlap between lift. What exactly was it? Slowbird was in the chat actually, so can probably enlighten me on this one. But we had a big old conversation about like what's a liftback? What did they call a liftback before it was called a liftback? Because liftback, it turns out, was coined in 1973 by Toyota. But before that, you had like the Mustang Mark 1 and stuff, which was the same fastback design. It just wasn't called, didn't have a name yet.
What?
It was just a hatchback, I suppose. It's exactly the same as a Fiat Tipo.
Yeah.
These two clearly identical. Also, it's the is it Pam from The Office? They're the same picture.
Yes, they're the same picture.
Um,
I was absolutely convinced that it was Sheldon.
I'm going to
that
check
put
out the
picture
Vanden
up.
Pla Allegro. Still can't type. It's literally my job to type. How can I not type?
I was sure he put that picture up. Absolutely convinced. If you.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yes, the Vanden Pla.
Is
with-
that what you were thinking? Is
Yes.
that what you were expecting?
Well,
to
no.
see?
That, as you say, that's the Vanden Pla one, in which they basically slapped a Jaguar-esque front grille on,
Doesn't work.
or a bit rollsy, and it's
Yeah.
like no. That's not allowed.
Yes. Owen's like, it's stolen a Jaguar's face. Not wrong.
Yes, it is. It is a it's an XJ. It's an XJ grille that was made a little bit more vertical, and a bit taller, so it's a little bit more rollsy. There's a really good video about it and how sort of
Allegro,
how it
more
came
like
about.
a leg no.
A leg no, yeah. On which one is it? It is Big Car.
I still haven't watched any of their videos for some
So
reason.
Big Car goes on some good history run-throughs of lots of different things. The SD1 video is quite
I was going to say,
good,
actually,
but the Allegro one is
Big
like...
Car's video on the history of the SD1 is why I will not do a history of the SD1 video.
Like, it's done.
There's no point.
Yeah,
Because
Big Car's
we've talked about it a
there.
couple of times. Abe was like, oh, do you want to tell the story of the SD1? I'm like, I cannot do as good of a job as this already has.
Yeah. It is basically the...
Yeah. Our history of the SD1 video should be 10 seconds long. It should be watch this thing in our description. Here you go.
you should watch this video. Yeah. It's fine. Go and watch that. We'll wait and just have a minute for minute little thing, just like run hours in the background.
Yeah, we need that watch time.
Yeah, watch Big Car over the top of ours, and we'll just be like, no, we'll wait. And then afterwards, we'll be like, and here are a few other things very specific to whatever, and like, if there's literally anything to add in.
And Aid has suddenly reminded me, why was dog poo brown so popular in the 70s?
Man, just
we
beige.
made some bad decisions, didn't we?
The 70s all over was the colour of the decade of beige.
Beige and like even worse shades of beige. What if beige, but more like shit?
Yeah. It's oh god, what were we thinking?
I was going to say, it's very
Because
much
furniture,
the yellow side of the colour wheel.
Furniture was beige. Yeah, it is. But the thing is, you also have the greens as well. Like it's all washed out, dark colours.
Is this the part where I have to go and look
brown
up?
washed out,
Is this
dark
now...
green washed out, yellow washed out. It's like mustard and.
I now have to go like look up 1970s jukeboxes to compare to 1950s and 60s
red,
ones.
Slightly washed out.
To be fair, that isn't washed out. That's covered in
No,
schmeal and
but
crap.
when you compare that to like a proper red, if you imagine the primary red, yellow, green, the 70s was just that, but dull.
It really, really was. To be fair, that was Gen 2 colour anyway, but whatever.
Beige
me
greens,
just putting my glasses on for a
exactly
second.
that.
It was just horrible colours through and through.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's not just cars. As you said, like furniture was all brown. And like, don't get me wrong, like brown's good, but not like on everything.
Velour.
I like velour.
Oh.
Honestly, I don't get the hate for velour. Velour seats, ideal. Absolutely ideal. You don't
Yeah,
want
but
leather seats.
not everything though. You don't want.
You want velour seats. You don't want
you don't
velour.
want a velour sofa
tables.
and like velour armrests and
velour armrests.
Right, Zap.
Again, put them against leather, which is cold and horrible. Like you sit down in a leather car and you either sit down in it in winter and your bollocks freeze to it, or you sit down in it in summer.
Velour toilet seat
fries
covers
you.
a very poor choice.
Do not,
So,
but there's all sorts of things because like jukeboxes all of a sudden
jump us back big again.
Yeah, that tartan factory that I want to go to, they made a
Completely off topic, but
no,
sure.
No, it's relevant because you're talking about toilet seat covers. They made tartan toilet seat covers.
Can I get them in my family tartan?
Yeah, they'll make it. In
that is actually they do it. It's not just here's some generic.
No,
tartan,
they're whatever you want.
That's kind of cool.
So on the subject of, you're going to pull the thing back up, the water pump.
Oh
just
yeah,
to, like,
I'm
jump
all
back
the
a
way
few
back in my
steps.
tabs now. Yeah.
So to jump back to the water pump.
Back to the water pump.
There
No
we
pressure.
Go.
I don't know what's happened to the TV.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
So, jumping back on that, you would be able to take this back up and it should be fine. Obviously, it'll need heavy cleaning, but...
Yeah, I mean, I've already cleaned the area. That was taken before I did anything, but
yeah.
We
So
also, bearing in mind, the unit that I have this on my car and everything at is across the road from an aquablasting specialist. So I just walk across the road, go, hey, Damo, can you clean this?
Yeah.
And Damo goes, bugger off, I'm busy. And come back in like a week.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I go back and collect my shiny new, my
fortunately,
newly shiny water pump.
We have finally got round to fixing the exhaust. Or I say,
The new
we
exhaust
got
is
around
very
to
pretty.
fixing. What I did was took it down to Colin, Ignition Motorsports, and
Who has a TIG welder.
can you fix this? And he's so busy he had to get it sent out to somebody to do it. But this is our lovely exhaust.
I'm just gonna.
Oh, it's so nice.
Is this where we go to the overhead
It
camera
was really good. Yeah, I'm just gonna switch
and kill my
unless-
laptop screen shift for a moment?
Yeah, do you want to jump off that? 'Cause
There we go.
There you go.
You and very, very hot. Well, we're cold at the minute, but pretty.
It wants to
Let's
be...
just move the laptop some.
Yeah. The problem is I'm trying to do this stupidly because I have a live foldback right there and I'm not using it at all. I'm
Look at you
instead
using
watching...
your media terms, fold back. It means a screen.
I'm instead doing it really, really dumbly. That should be about it.
Beautiful.
I think. Yeah. So this has all been really, really nicely done. I love it. It needs a couple of little bits of the old tack welds taking off that we did. Like there's a little bit of spatter here and there, but they'll come off dead easy with the finger sander.
It is really, really nice. I love it.
But otherwise, it was all back purged properly. So like, assuming I don't get my finger stuck in here, it's a nice clean weld on the inside.
I haven't actually checked what the welds are like on the inside.
They are quite nice.
Oh, they are good. I can't show the camera, unfortunately, because it's so dark.
It's so
in there
dark,
that,
yeah, you're not going to see anything.
But they are fairly good. There's a
risk.
little
I mean,
bit of...
it's Pepsi Aid, as you would expect, but yes.
I'm just going to see if
risk?
I can cut that back
Yeah.
in the right spot.
Over
this
a bit.
way,
Yeah,
so
there you go. And hang on.
Mind me not like
One sec.
battering your laptop.
If I
Classic Britain.
Should we go the
will I
other
go
way
that
around?
Well, that's like speak of the devil and he will appear.
Unfortunately, mate, you missed all the SD1 stuff.
Classic Britain literally just popping in minutes after mentioning his name. Yeah, Sheldon, I'm sure you had somewhere on either Instagram or Twitter a picture of an SD1 that had a 240 back end grafted onto it to make an estate SD1. And I'm damned if I can find it, but if you can point me in the direction, we'll throw it up on the stream.
This is the part where he tries to put it in chat and it bans him for posting links.
They're just blocked at this for
the mug was empty, Aid.
Oh, okay. No, it wasn't.
Oh, was it not? Did it did actually have Pepsi in it. All right, fair enough.
Oh,
It's
cool.
not tea
Okay,
anyway.
so yes, it does exist. So I am not going insane, and this is
Okay.
all that matters.
Oh, he's going to film it.
He's
going to
go and film it. So
Happy
yes,
days.
there is an SD1 with a 240 back end grafted onto it, and it honestly doesn't look bad. You see the SD1 pickup, I can kind of believe because
I've seen an SD1 pickup, but
Yeah.
I also thought it looked awful. I got to be honest though, I'm really, really biased because I've had SD1s around my whole life. I'm very, very conditioned that that's what they should look like.
Yeah, it's fully baked into you.
Yeah, so like anything else just seems wrong to me. Seems like perverse in a way that I can't.
So yeah, it is finally on. We can put this on the car now, which
Yeah.
is going to be marvellous. This will go all back in nicely.
Which actually, this is a big milestone once this gets bolted on.
because we have fully seamed end to end. We do need to get a gasket for that end, admittedly, and this end, to be fair.
Once this is on, we have a complete intake exhaust system the whole way through the car.
What did you
everything from the air intake, everything from the MAF. Oh, we haven't actually finished the whole system because we haven't got anything from the air intake to the MAF.
MAF to exhaust tips are all done once this is bolted in.
MAF to turbo to
it
all
was
three
Twitter.
intercoolers.
Okay, right. I'm going to find your Twitter and I'm going to find this picture.
All fully plumbed. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty big milestone for us. We still haven't run the engine, and we don't think we're going to for a while. To be honest, we're still on kind of a bodywork binge. We're like, bodywork, it's just rad and it looks amazing.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I'm very, very sure that a lot of you would really love to see an episode where we light the engine up, but also we're a little bit trying to avoid it. We're kind of terrified of trying and it failing and us having to rewire everything.
There it is.
Something along those lines. Is this? Do you want to ping me the link and I'll...
Yeah, doings. It is into Stream Dump.
I have got...
Close that down.
Twitter. Something went wrong, please retry. Something went wrong, please retry.
Oh, drop the photo/1 off the end.
Yeah, I got it.
And it will probably... Yeah,
I just had to refresh.
Oh, fair enough.
Like 4 times.
There you go.
So a Volvo 245 grafted on. I don't know how that... It doesn't seem like it should work.
No, and yet somehow... I see, it has got the little fillet above the rear door.
Yeah.
Same as
But it
the
just
other
feels
one
like the
is.
dimensions should never have worked. But
No.
I guess the SD1 and the 245 are just that similar.
That one's a much better execution. Like,
Yeah, it looks just right enough. But I think the part of the...
Wait, the factory made 3 of them?
Yeah, the factory made a few. Not that one, I don't think. Because obviously that's the 240.
Right, but that's what I mean. Did the factory make 3 of this?
No, 3
Or
of
just
the other
3
ones.
regular
3
ones?
of the other
Right,
ones
right.
that I sent you the other picture of.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's been pranged there, Aid.
Yeah, it definitely had a bit of a hit.
The Allegro Max, yeah. The V8 Allegro Max. That's what they should have called it. They would have been way ahead of their time.
They should have gone like Apple style Allegro Pro Max.
I was thinking Ford with the S Max.
Oh yeah, fair. Because I was thinking with the V8 that gives it Pro because they get all the fancy features. And then Max is big.
Yeah.
Pointlessly big, I think.
Plus,
Don't mind me
like
just
the
having a
Golf-
rant about phones that are too big.
Like the Golf Plus. They made the Mark V Golf.
Yeah.
And then there was the Golf Plus that was a bit taller.
Okay. Was it only taller?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's counterproductive.
It's a bit weird. It was to fit into the mid-sized, not people move, but the small MPV market at the time, and it just didn't.
So like A2 equivalent size.
A bit longer,
Okay.
a bit wider, but yeah, that kind of market. Because I mean, this was before the. I want to call it MDF. It's not MDF. It's, MQB platform. So they couldn't just mix and match pieces. The Mark V, I think, was the last Golf pre MQB.
Oddly enough,
Mark
Sheldon,
6 was MQB onwards.
that's actually what I went to try and do, but because I'm not logged in on Twitter on the laptop, it won't let me do anything. Here's a fun one. If you're not logged into Twitter, you literally can't browse it at all. You can open a link to a tweet, but if you try to click on another tweet or anything, it goes, "Oh, you got to log in."
No, that definitely worked. I'm logged in as the Pedalbox one,
Yep.
which is why it just worked. Yes, there we go. I have in fact just followed back. To be fair, this is why I fail miserably at Twitter, because I open it maybe once a week, and I scroll through and go, and then I forget to do anything else with it. A perfect example is the tweet about tonight's stream went out 20 minutes before we went live because I just forgot to do any socials for it. It was posted to YouTube and like timed up for that.
Well, that's
and
kind of
all
automatic,
worked,
isn't it? You don't get any credit for that one.
Yeah, it was literally just like, welp. Yeah, but to be fair,
we
sometimes
did actually-
I haven't scheduled it. We've just
Yeah,
been like,
true.
we're live in 5 minutes. Oh,
I
nobody's watching.
will give a credit for one thing. We did actually know 24 hours ago that we were streaming, which is why I took a 6 a.m. train out of Pembrokeshire this morning.
And I still didn't set the stream up until today.
Like, hey, gentle reminder, are we definitely streaming
Oh, he definitely.
tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll totally set that up tonight. He didn't, but he did not set it up.
No, you got distracted with the train.
I did. I might have rediscovered an interest in model trains again, and this is occupying some of my life, which is bad.
Despite his baldness, Aid is still a child.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I think when it comes
There's
to like
balls
model
to it.
railways and stuff, we're all children.
Yeah.
Everyone loves model trains.
Yeah, particularly well executed ones.
Yeah. So actually, here's a fun one.
Now I
When-
have talent. Well, okay.
When-
Now I have more talent than I did when I was 8.
When
Now
when
you
you
have
first
features
mentioned them
before.
earlier.
Yeah. To be fair, I have talent and I have tutorials on how to do
Yes,
things.
we have an
Thanks,
internet.
Thanks, YouTube.
So when you first mentioned them earlier, before you mentioned that you were
Sorry, one
selling-
second. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs here to Slowbird Model Trains. If you haven't already subscribed to them, look at Everard Junction, look at Dean Park, and look at Chadwick Model Rail. Those three, it's basically all you need to learn how to be good at doing model railways. It's amazing, and the railways are all really good, which is why I've rewatched a lot of their stuff.
I just remembered a Twitter account
I like
that I need to
trains.
share in a roughly similar vein. Oh Christ, where was I? That completely just poof goes my
So
train
I-
of thought gone.
Yeah, Chadwick. Yeah, I loved it. I was just
Train
watching Chadwick before we came down to do this. But yes, Slowbird, I can't get my model railway out because it's on a massive piece of wood at my parents' place.
That's what I
can't
was gonna
fit in a
say.
car. All the trains were in the loft, and a couple of weeks ago I went back and I've sorted through everything and worked out what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to get rid.
That was actually what I was
So-
going to say, because when you first brought the trains up earlier,
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, are you planning to like build something with
Yes,
them?"
I am.
Obviously, I thought you were selling them.
No,
or you're
that's
only
like
selling some.
that's half.
Right.
that's like
Okay.
half the class. It's all my
'Cause-
old Thomas stuff and a bunch of the wagons that
And
I
this-
don't want, and new things that I found and done things. Yes, classic Britain. I'll get back to that in a second. There is something you can collaborate on coming up, which is the thing's not up. Can you put the Takeoff thing up?
Why have I got a message from Dad telling me about BL refusing to develop a hatchback in the 70s and hence sticking to that weird fastback?
Probably
design,
because Sam's
hence the Allegro.
Sam's watching.
You might be watching with
Yeah.
Dad, to be fair.
So-
That's a good point. Dad
Was
has
that
been
that
watching
was my
the.
question, wasn't it? With the
Yes,
The
it was.
slightly back?
And then I imagine that Chris's dad has filled in the information to Chris direct.
Yeah.
why is
But
that,
yes,
sorry?
Apparently, BL didn't want to make a hatchback in the 70s,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
which is interesting because the SD1 is a hatchback,
But
unless
that's
it's
the
the
end of the
proportions.
70s. That's
yeah,
the end
there
by
is
the end.
also
You know,
that. Yeah,
it's-
true.
you're talking about the gen before that is the late 60s modelling it into the 70s.
Yeah.
Late 60s thinking is 3-box, not
You know what,
anything else.
I'm gonna bang this drum one more time, just because I can't not. It never ceases to amaze me the leap between the P6 and the SD1.
Yes.
You would not think they were one generation apart.
Yeah. It is well over. Yeah, Slobo, I'll send Chris to send to you or by some other means.
You could just join Weird Car Discord.
Oh yeah, I could do. Yeah,
I've sent you a link.
Oh yeah, it failed.
Oh, did it?
It expired because I forgot to log into Discord or do anything with it. So, yeah, I'll do that, and I will send you a link. I'll send you a picture of what I've worked out because it is a big loop, and to be fair, it is to go in a house that I haven't bought yet, but might end up in. So.
Well, hang on. It has to fit in. It has to fit in a vehicle that you can't own.
No.
Because it would only go in a moving lorry, basically.
Oh,
to go in a house that you don't own.
It's a 6x6 meter layout.
6 meter.
Yes. Because so as part of another long-winded project that I'm working on at the moment outside of this, which will potentially tie in with Pedalbox further on down the line in a grand plan that will be absolutely incredible if it works. Cake just moved across camera, just like drifted through, right at lens level. It's just like cake.
I was going to go
Drifted
over, but
through.
do you know what? Okay.
Went straight for it.
So sharp knife is probably also very
You also need spoon.
yeah.
Spoons.
Yeah, this doesn't pick up to eat. So we'll come on to cakes in a minute.
Is this
But
the part where I
basi-
finally have some breakfast today?
Yes.
Don't
Basically.
eat the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, Slobert, you have no idea. So, basically, I have gone over the floor plan of this building that I am hoping to bring into my life in the near future, and I have selected a room in which I can potentially put a model railway in. Suddenly,
Thank you, Vex.
Provider of cake.
I want some too.
I will cut many cake.
I'll fight you for it.
But yeah, are we just going to finish this in 4 pieces, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. That makes
I'm
my
alright with
life
that.
a lot
I need to
easier.
put it in the dishwasher.
Excellent.
We'll have to take it in turns. I eat while you talk
Yes,
while
basically
I eat. There we go. Perfect plan.
But yeah, I've found a particularly odd-shaped room that things will fit in. That I can put a loop that is actually a kind of figure 8 loop that kind of goes around and crosses over and goes around and goes around. So it's a massive, massive run round with 2 helixes in, and just it'll be amazing if I can make it work. And I'm obviously going to call it Box Junction, and then Box Hill, and then Box Central, or Pedalton maybe. But yeah.
You need to build. Oh, hang on. I've
Do you want
immediately
to go
realised I
back
don't
onto
think I
main
remember
screen
the
and we
name.
can do more useful things?
Yes, that's
yeah,
probably
it's,
a good
it,
idea.
it should be.
Is it the Georgetown loop? Oh no, it's the.
Oh, the
Tehachapi
the
train
proper,
loop.
yeah,
'Cause
the super duper spiral.
Yeah, it does like a
Yes.
full. Was it 540
yeah,
degree
It's,
turnaround
it,
to
it
climb up
goes
so
it
much.
goes up and it climbs around and goes over and back.
Build
It's,
that.
Yeah.
The only problem with doing that on a model railway is you can't do on a model railway as easily what they did in real life, which is sprinkle locos along the length of it.
Yes. You can. DCC now allows you to have
true.
multi-channel operations.
Because
so
I
yeah,
bet
it
if
would
you
work.
tried to just pull a train around that at
Sidetrack
real
fix?
scale
I
length,
don't know
it would all
what
just
you
it would all just fall off the inside of the corner with the tension.
Oh,
It
yes.
depends on things.
Yeah.
I have seen somebody that modelled a scale mile-long 00. Another interesting one that Pete Waterman did recently at Chester Cathedral was a chunk of track, but it was a 75-foot railway, and it's just a straight length of mainline track that runs down. The only place they could build it was in situ at the cathedral that they displayed it in. When they were building it in his workshop, they had to do it in 2 pieces, which was just hilarious. Anyway, getting on to some of the other things that I need to crack on through. Classic Britain asked where we're based so we can do something. I am based in Reading. Pedalbox as a whole is based in Reading. Chris is also currently based in Pembrokeshire.
I am not a hologram.
No use for you being in Cornwall at all, because you are right down in the end of Cornwall from what I remember. So, yeah, we need to try and sort some way out. However, all of you in chat need to join in on the Pedalbox Takeoff. The Pedalbox Takeoff is going to run between
1st of December.
1st of December, thank you, being prompted here. 1st of December and the 14th of December is when we'll be taking entries in. So all you need to do is take a picture of your car-themed cake. It can just be a wheel, it can be a car, it can be a logo, it can be anything, as long as it's car-themed. You could do a track, like the Nürburgring outline in cake or something. anything like that, it's all good. And basically the plan is we're just going to judge them. And there's another channel that we're good friends with, Decimal Tenths, who have also decided that they're going to join the fun, and we're going to have a little judges competition that people can vote on ahead of time. So we'll put that in, and then we'll put a poll up on YouTube so we can sort it. Oh, well, if you're coming up here, you might as well come up and see the idiocy that we're doing. Do it as a road trip. Come up and we'll do a video, because we can have a chat in here as well, because this is only at the house. So yes, so anything car themed, basically, as I say, wheels, cars, logos, tracks. The more car themed it is, the more points you will get. Also,
there's also points for execution, though, surely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
If you do something really complicated badly and someone does something very simply very well, it'll be, like there is a gradient on both of those scales. If you do something very complicated and you do it very well, obviously you're going to win extra points. There are also extra points for judges to hand out for. I particularly like that.
Just general free points.
If you give it as a name or something that is a pun, you will definitely get extra points from me. If it moves under its own power, I have seen a cake that was a truck, and it drove around the table, and then they cut the cab in half. This was one of the most incredible things I have ever seen. That is also very cool. Is that a cake engine?
This is not also, a cake engine.
If you build the cake engine that Skoda did.
Oh God,
To scale,
which is like they built a full scale one. I'm actually going to find.
This is an OEM, granted.
Yeah. While you talk about that, I'm going to find the.
So just rewinding a little bit back to the model railways and stuff. There's a bloke I stumbled into on Twitter called David Hirakawa a little while ago, and he does the most amazing car models I've ever seen. I'm not sure how well it comes through on the stream, but he like actually individually makes HT leads for his models, like individually painted, little spark plugs.
Could you put this video up on back screen?
The detail is absolutely incredible. This, by the way, is one that he describes as, what a mess.
That's not
dude
a mess.
has
to be
high
fair,
standards.
Yeah.
And like underneath it, he does sort of dry brushing for rust, all that sort of stuff. Now underneath the models is usually fairly basic. There's not a lot of detail in there for him to work with, but oh my god. If I just open that in a new tab, can I get like a higher res? And
you should just zoom in.
Just look at that. If I remember right, his trick for HT leads is its metal wire.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Single core metal wire that he bends up into the right shapes.
That is
absolutely mental.
Yeah, that's wild.
No, he obviously he doesn't
also
make
like the guy
the battery and everything. Like he's mostly making the wires and that, but still,
still putting it all together is impressive.
And a highlight of my summer was when he followed me on Twitter, where my pinned post is the arse of the murder wagon.
Yes,
and he goes, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And like David Hirakawa just said, "My project car is amazing." That felt good.
I particularly enjoy Owen's. What if I make the Skoda Fabia cake? The single brain cell is at work.
One
Problem
brain
is
cell.
There was some latent carryover from one of us into the other one. It was still holding it in cache.
This happens a lot. The brain cell transfers spontaneously from one person to another, usually carrying the thought with it.
So this is the Skoda cake. If you put it on, put us on big screen, please, Yolanda, so that comes up nicely. You can. This is obviously well up at the top end. If you make a full-size engine cake, if you make a full-size cake car, you will probably win outright.
I
just
got a hunch,
putting it out there. If you remake that or make any other car in scale, you'll probably win.
Belmore could make that much cake.
Well,
they can't because they're closed, actually.
Yeah, because they've got rid of a lot of their industrial cooking. So
pouring one out for my homies.
So that said, I
However,
would love to see Sarah or Louise.
They should definitely join in.
Yeah.
Join us.
So this is the plan. The plan is you take a picture and you send it. Well, not you send it. You post it on Instagram. There is also another way to enter if you're not on Instagram.
Hello.
You can send it to pedalboxtakeoff@gmail.com. And that will also go into the mix, and we'll then put that back out on Instagram so that they're all available to see. But the Instagram ones, you have to tag us, obviously, at Pedalbox Show. It would be stupid if you didn't. And
sorry, I'm just seeing Sean's biting welding spots into the.
It's fine. I shall.
as one does. Okay.
That was quite cool. Not gonna lie.
And you need to include in the post, bun is better than good, which should
We're
be
still
a
on the
good-
wrong video, by the way.
Oh. Did you not make us bigly?
It was there.
Vision mixing is hard.
Vision mixing is hard when you're also knitting. Hashtag 2 jobs.
Crochet.
It is crochet.
It is crochet, actually.
Get it right.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up more of Dave's models because, goddamn.
This can move off for the time being because
That's my day job.
cake.
Cake.
I'm
So,
literally
yes.
here for the cake. So.
The plan is, as I say, submit them to @Pedalbox Show on Instagram or email them. So should you feel the need, and we will put them back out so they're all in the collection.
We are actually just cutting into quarters, right?
Yes. Yeah. Whatever's there, just like
It's
half it
banana.
and
You're
go
okay
again.
with banana, right?
As far as I know, I'm not allergic to anything
Good.
Excellent.
except fascists.
Okay, then you need to guess the flavour because this is pink.
So
So
I have
the topping is pink, but I want you to try and work out what the flavouring
Well,
is.
she said banana a minute ago,
Oh, yeah,
which
you
kind
did.
of...
Yeah, to be
Fruits
fair.
banana.
I mean, the fact that you asked would also have tipped me off that it's obviously not pink. And what fruit
It
would
is
you...
obviously pink.
Obviously not a pink fruit, you bellend. Demonetised.
You can actually get pink bananas. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, now we need to work out the next variation on grasshopper pie.
Hashtag non-GMO
Oh no!
life.
I should have worked out the process, the algorithm for fair n-way splitting of a thing. It would have taken probably about 70 cuts though, so maybe not.
Yeah, is it rust flavour? It is not rust flavour, but we could have sprinkled it with some Thunderbird rust on the
No,
top.
the rover's 200 miles away. There's not much rust here. I can't make rust jokes about my rover
I
anymore
know.
because it is now rust free. Oh yeah, I would have also been able to see the banana in it,
Yes.
which may count as cheating.
And don't forget sauce on the bottom as well.
Oh yeah.
did.
So part of the yeah we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that afterwards. So
Right.
part of the problem with this is, I mean, I might as well tell you at this point. It is a hobnob base
Okay.
with
Is that where they all went?
banoffee sauce on top of that, and then banana.
Yeah.
The marshmallow top.
I was going to say that doesn't feel like a normal cheesecake.
No,
It has more like spring.
It's
to
marshmallow with banana liqueur and butterscotch
it.
liqueur.
Yeah. I was going to say rubber, and then I'm like, no, that is horribly offensive. That's not a way that you describe food. And I was trying to find a less horrible way to
problem-
describe it than rubbery.
The problem is, whilst this was setting,
Is this the part where you like scrape all the crumbs off onto your plate as well?
nope, much of the sauce fell out
Oh,
the
wow.
bottom.
I'm just gonna.
So you might want.
Oh, it's got
It's got a
skins.
skin to it.
I did not expect that.
I guess we'll clean the table later.
Yeah.
The problem is, you're going to have to put some of that on mine, so I can hand this all off to,
Do you want?
to the other
You're,
two.
you're having skin. There's no.
Yolanda and I would like some. I would like
Yeah.
mine without skin though, please. 'Cause
That's going to be tricky. I'll be honest with you.
If you could also grab some kitchen roll, because I might have just covered myself in butterscotch sauce. It's not a bad way to be, but it's trickier than things. So, yes, everybody in chat should definitely enter the competition. The prizes for said competition, depending on how many entries we get, we might have first, second, and third. We might just have first and second. We might just have first if only one person enters. So, we'll see.
If you come fourth, you win eternal life. External life? What am I saying?
Everybody
me.
came fifth.
I'm just
Then
going to
one
of those.
invade the screen for a second.
Well, take that. Take that. So
Oh, you want me to
you
take
and
it as
Yolanda,
well?
yeah. And
Where am I going to put this? Okay.
excuse us while we just redo all of the.
It's
all
that
of the
far
order of
away. You
everything.
can go 2 trips, surely.
Well, no, there's 2 trips in front of the camera.
Yeah, true.
So, the prizes will be a Pedalbox T-shirt and a Pedalbox mug and stickers. Decimal Tenths have also kicked in a T-shirt, so obviously we'll get your size and make sure that the sensible things happen. They also do have mugs, but so far we've convinced them into a T-shirt. And we'll see if there's anybody else who's going to join in as well. But for the moment, it's a couple of T-shirts and a mug, for certain. So, you should definitely enter the competition. If it does go that way, it will be either a mug and a T-shirt for first and a T-shirt for second, and maybe stickers or something for third. If we get more in, then obviously it'll pile up and pile up, and there'll be a little judges competition between some of the channels. So in theory...
Is this the part where we ask chat if anyone has any clout on British weird car Twitter? I do not, sadly. to see if we can get some
Well,
other
this is it.
British
In
weird car
theory,
people involved.
If Classic Britain wants to join in the channel competition,
Yeah, yeah.
then we'll judge it off between us, Decimal Tenths, and them, and any other channels. But if you're joining in the judges competition, you've got to kick in merch. So you've got to throw a T-shirt at least into the pot in order to do it. And basically, we will just pimp this across all of the channels. I'm going to make a couple of really short videos that we can throw out, put everybody's logos on, so we can all push it as hard as possible, and get some nice cross promotion between all of our channels. Now, obviously, to a certain degree, from my point of view, we benefit a lot if you're bigger than us, so I get it. But we are kicking in more merch than anybody else, so we'll trade.
We're buying our popularity.
Yes, yeah, we're buying our popularity with things.
Convince Jurgen to make you a car cake.
Yeah,
Jürgen?
God, that would be amazing. Make me a BMW, Jurgen. Great British Bake Off. I mean, I put GBBO on the tags for this video, so we might as well discuss it. Mostly this is happening because we've been watching the Great British Bake Off and think like one thing escalated to another 4-year celebration, woo, cake, and it just there was no escalation. It was the same escalation as learning Vi. You know nothing, and then you know everything.
Here's a tangent.
And there is absolutely nothing in between. But yeah, so that's the plan.
This is good cheesecake, by the way.
It's not cheesecake.
No,
It has
it's
no
really
cheese in
not.
it.
It's like superficially, aesthetically similar to cheesecake, but that's kind of it.
The
The milk
cheesecake.
and marshmallow again. Is that
The
brilliant
cheesecake is a lie.
I've got another David Hirakawa engine bay to share real quick. I just can't believe, like, these things are not big.
No. Are they 1/18 scale?
I don't think they're 1/18th, but they. I no, they can't be as big as 1/10. I've seen very, very few pictures of them like next to things to get a feeling for the scale.
That's good, because that keeps the illusion alive.
Yeah, exactly. But there's the first picture I ever saw him share. I think it was a Porsche that he had made. And now, granted, this was only seeing the thumbnails. As I was scrolling through my timeline, someone else had retweeted him or something. And I was scrolling down and I went, that's a really nicely modified Porsche, a really nicely built Porsche, clean or whatever it was. I genuinely thought it was a real car. It took a second. Which, I'll be honest, feels like the highest praise you can give a modeler.
You can nominate family members on your behalf. If you want to, Aid, because I think Decimal Nick, it's his daughter that's making a cake, because she likes to make cakes, so she'll be the one in for that. So yeah, that'll be the goal. We'll try and get as many people in as possible to try and do this.
My mum's asking if she's allowed to participate. Does that count as conflict of interest, or would she have to take part? Can I nominate my mum for
Yes.
for my part of the judge's entry?
Yes, sure. Because
Cool.
I'll
Channel's
yeah.
entry. Sorry.
I'll do the Reading end.
Yeah.
You do the Pembrokeshire end.
There you go, Mum. You can represent Pembrokeshire for us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because you don't want me baking; it'd be horrible.
The question is your mum gonna defect and team up with Aid's workshop? As you're in the same village.
Aid's not in the same village, but he is quite close by.
Boo, defectors.
She would never.
But yes, that is going to be the plan that we're going to go forward with for the cake-off. As I say, you need to. So we'll be looking at entries sent to us on Instagram. There is also a strap bar that can go up if Yolanda is watching on the TV.
Eating cake.
There's priorities at work here, pal.
Emma, I really want to see that. I'm sorry it's going to absolutely make a mess of your lathe, Aid, but I really want to see Rice Krispie cake turned.
Hang on, I need
You
to.
need to put lots of chocolate in it.
I need to find a
Marshmallow
specific.
for the spring,
I need to find a specific Ave video
where
for
he
Aid.
turned.
Shh.
Yeah,
Not a
I know
word.
exactly the one you mean.
Aid, you need to go look up The Impossible done on a milling machine. We can
Yes.
show a little bit of it, right? Because it's topical.
If we put it in there and we're discussing it, then it counts
Yes.
as being an editorial
Excellent. Okay, cool.
discussion.
So,
Send me a link.
yes. Link.
Oh.
Just run the laptop
It,
to.
unfortunately, it needs audio. I can send audio over that HDMI cable, but I don't know if there's anything receiving it at the other end.
Please hold, caller.
Cool. Yeah, there is a very, very excellent video by Arduino versus Evil. Perhaps I could machine your mum's cake. I mean, if
Phrasing.
mum burns it bad enough that it could be machined, I'd be surprised. 2, I'd be disappointed. 3, I'd I suspect she'd probably not let anyone know
Can
that
you
it
just
even happened.
play the video for a second?
I need to turn on my audio output first. I'm really good at this.
Smooth.
Okay, HDMI output is on.
I was gonna say, for this, I am ready for the transition. I'm just waiting to.
Did anyone hear like pop 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 pop?
I
Nothing.
wouldn't have heard anything yet, but
Okay.
just play the video.
Yeah. Okay.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the
Audio
shop.
It is
Behold.
actually making audio, yeah.
Badata.
We'll just let it go for a minute.
Yeah, to peel a carrot. This had quite a good hit. It actually people were quite impressed with it, and one or two people suggested
Could
why
you
would
put
I
it
try
on
putting threads on the
back
carrot
screen?
and scroll the carrot into
It
a
just gives us a bit
potato?
more.
Well, everybody
a bit
knows
more
you
plausible
can't put threads.
deniability if the copyright
Potato,
will come
threads
knocking.
into potato. You can't put threads into
You might
potato.
have to
In
skip
decades
through
past,
somewhat.
I'd have invited
Well,
you
I'm not
outside
going to
to
skip
knock
the
my teeth down my
punchline. I just
throat.
wanted to get
However,
like the
'tis
first
true,
sort of
we have
30
seen
seconds-ish or
butter
so.
days.
Where he goes, you can't put a thread in a potato, and Abe's just like repeating over that one little bit. He goes, fucking challenge accepted. But yeah, this is it's a 12-minute video. There's no way I'm going to run through all of it. But the gist is, he does in fact make a potato nut and bolt.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Now I know potato is like being obviously that much more carby and starchy, it holds together better.
Not on a parsnip.
Not compared to a parsnip. I'm talking compared to a cake.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you might have a bit of trouble putting a cake in a 4-drawer. I mean,
But a
geometrically, it's fine, I'm sure,
But a Rice Krispie cake.
Rice Krispie cake you could do.
No,
Yeah.
that's why I'm thinking you put more chocolate in it, because then it's basically a bar of chocolate with Rice Krispies.
Now the question is, with a Rice Krispie cake, would you have to have a very high spindle speed or a very low spindle speed?
High.
Yeah.
High. Because you'd want to take off like tiny bits. You wouldn't want it to. I've just
Yeah,
turned
that's
the
kind
audio
of-
down. It's fine.
Apologies to everyone.
Yeah. Sorry, I fixed the audio. I was balancing without actually listening to what I was hearing, which obviously is the best way to be an audio engineer. I am not. I am absolutely not. Far, far from it. So, to reiterate, because I keep getting distracted on tangents.
That's so unlike us.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Take pictures of your cakes, biscuits. So, the other things, cakes, biscuits, brownies, cupcakes, anything like that. What's the surface speed for cutting Rice Krispies? Exactly. This is what we need to know, eh? This is the science that you can do for the world. To be fair, it's exactly the kind of thing that you'd be able to win an Ig Nobel award for. Yeah, so any type of cake, confectionery, things like that. So tarts like this, cakes, brownies, cookies, biscuits.
I think you should offer a savoury option.
No, we'll do that after Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Why
I'm
not?
going to say, you've got to be inclusive. People don't like sugar.
At some point, I'm going to be able to get through
Sorry.
the actual run-through of this in a way that I can clip
For the
out
love of
without
God, don't
having to
start from the
edit
beginning
everything.
again.
Well, I need to be able to clip it out. So, the Pedalbox Takeoff 2021, absolutely not inspired by the Great British Bake Off, will be collecting entries between the 1st of December and the 14th of December. Submit them to us on Instagram between those two dates at Pedalbox Show, hashtag bun is better than good. You need those because we'll be looking and scraping through using that hashtag. So if it doesn't have that tag in, we're not going to find it and you're not going to be in the entries.
Or you can email it in at...
Or you can email it in at pedalboxcakeoff, at gmail.com, and we will then tweet it out so that on Instagram, not tweet it, you know what I mean, post it to Instagram so everybody can see it that way. Then we'll be judging it, and there's a bunch of us who are going to chip in a lot of merch, so we'll do probably first, second, third, depending on how many people we get down, and I'll make a couple of little short videos for other channels to be able to go, hey, we're going to join in this thing, bunk, and put their own logos over the top and add in so that they can show their affiliation, hopefully get more and more people in, and we'll see just how big we can make this, because that would be hilarious. Ideally, everybody should subscribe to everybody's channel as well. All of the judges' channels that are in, we should have as much cross-pollination as we can possibly get for that. So, you can subscribe to us if you haven't already. Do! Right, I might be able to clip that bit out of this and actually use that on
Good
the
work,
other
Tim.
end.
But have you seen Abe's comment?
He's right. I mean, he is absolutely right. The surface speed has to be spot on, lest it snap, crackle, and pop.
I saw that. I So that I read that just as you started your like attempt at one big solid run through, and I wanted to bust out laughing. Pat me on the back for how hard I tried to keep that one in. Thank you, thank you.
Look how many playbacks
golf
were.
clap.
Yeah.
Nice.
What are we looking at?
69 playbacks.
67 now.
Nice.
So where did the idea to turbo the SD1 come from? Mostly shits and giggles. No one's done a turbo 2600 before, and partly it's too damn slow. Well, if I want to make it faster, I can either spend a whole bunch of money on like old school tuning, headers, carburetors, camshafts, that kind of stuff, or I could spend a whole bunch of money on turbos and fuel injection systems. And one of those routes is a bit more interesting and more up my alley as a programmer. What on earth just...
It was a bottle that Vic left in here before.
Right, okay.
I put a bit much spin and it hit the table.
Thank you, Wade.
My Yeasty Bix today.
So yeah, basically it's too slow, it needs to be faster, and this is a way of making it faster that I kind of resonate with. There is a guy who's made a very, very fast naturally aspirated 2600. There's a guy called Bruno Pino. If you're in, I'm guessing you're in the SD1 groups on Facebook, you'll have probably seen him. He's making like 200, 220 odd horsepower on I think he calls it a Group 2 spec SD1. It's built to like old German touring car regulations. So it's it's 3 Weber carburetors, all naturally aspirated, all sort of dumb old school tuning. It's a really, really nice build. I don't say dumb in a derogatory way. I just mean like not computerized. But that's a really, really nice build, and he's making really good power. And it was actually seeing that kind of got me to a point where I'm like, well, actually, the sort of power numbers that I want in the red SD1, that's sort of my daily driver. It does a couple of motorway miles here and there. I'd like something that can overtake fairly well. It was like the sort of power numbers that I see floated around is like the people say, like 300 horsepower is like the perfect amount. It's not fast enough that you're ever going to kill yourself. It's not slow enough that you'll ever be frustrated. I'm like, it feels a bit optimistic for a 2600. It starts at 135 horsepower. Like I'll need like a lot of boost to make that like a bar and a half, maybe more. But yeah, seeing Bruno making 200 naturally aspirated, granted he's doing it at quite high RPM. I'm like, that seems doable. So like rather than rip the 6 out and put a V8 in and do like fairly ordinary SD1 tuning, I'm like, I'll see if I can do something a bit more interesting. It helps that I got a pair of Holsit HE221Ws for 250 quid.
Yeah, for cheap.
Basically
TM.
free. Yeah, one of them I literally did get for free because of a shipping error. It shipped to the wrong address, so they sent me a second one, and then I got the one that was sent to the wrong address sent to me. So, whee!
Winner, winner.
Yeah, all good. So yeah, that's basically where that came from. It is a little bit sad because no one actually knows how well it will hold up to boost and everything. It might be that it pops at 200 horsepower, or it saws the block in half by throwing a rod or something. But we'll see what happens. If it does blow up, I guess we finally get to find out what the 2600 can or can't do. And if it makes it to 300, then
2J the world.
Days. Yeah.
Yeah, if the 2600 can't do it, 2J the world.
Yeah. Well, actually, being serious, if the 2600 can't do it, I've got a K series.
Yeah.
Like an entire K series that I could sling one of the 221 off of as well and make power. So I've got options. But I do quite like the 6. It sounds really... Oh, that was a good squeak.
That was awesome.
I love the sound of the 6. There's so much room in the engine bay, it'd almost be rude not to. So I kind of want to see what it can do.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So that's the New Year plan. Is hopefully to get the SD1 back up to like a level playing field of running first.
Yeah, running is the goal. I've then got to do brakes because I really don't want 300 horsepower on solid rotors.
No.
It already has a very upgraded cooling system. Anyone who watches the channel regularly will see it might have an adequate radiator.
God, that radiator.
That radiator. So yeah, we're good on cooling. It's a total loss oiling system, so it's probably fine for lubrication. As long as I keep pouring enough in the top, it's all good. At least the oil never gets old.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't even stay in it long enough to get hot. So yeah, there's a fair few bits to do before I actually dangle the turbo off it, but there's also a lot involved in dangling the turbo off it, so I guess it all kind of works out. I've got plenty of time to do all the supporting mods. Apparently the back ends aren't good for very much power, which seems nonsense considering people put TVR 5-litre engines in them and just go up the road at silly speeds. So I'm like, how exactly is your 300 horsepower better or
Yeah.
worse than mine. Like, if it can hold that, why can't it hold a turbo 2600? But
Just put forward 9-inch in.
yeah, I mean, it's a solid axle car anyway, so
Yeah.
it's not as ridiculous as it might sound.
No, it'll be fine. Then
I've seen people do jag rear ends actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
What, XJS or the
Not
6?
sure.
Or...
I can't remember.
Ah.
I remember seeing it come up a bit on the forums.
Somebody did a thing once and it worked.
Yeah, probably, and then a few other
Yeah.
people copied it because there was a thread about it. Who knows? I'm going to nothing personal. I'm going to deliberately ignore the Brexit question as long as we're on air. Feel free to tweet me about that one if you want. The short answer is no, you're not cancelled. That's fine. But I think it's probably for the best if we avoid politics on stream because I don't want to get black banned.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Right, let's get rid of all
Lubricating
of
the
these
road. Not wrong. That's actually one of the reasons I've been a bit iffy about taking it to the Nürburgring.
Hey, look, just like the Mark II.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, you might have lubricated the road a bit more than I would. I'll grant you that one. You might have won that competition. Who can shit the most oil onto the tarmac?
Certainly by virtue of volume, yes.
Yeah.
And speed.
The flow rate for sure.
Yeah,
The SD1 might actually have leaked more oil in total, but it's done it over 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, flow rate was definitely well up on that.
Car-related question.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Jurgen is from the Black Forest.
Oh.
Are there any car manufacturers? 'Cause the only ones I'm really aware of, to be fair, is BMW, which is Bavaria. I don't know of anyone that's based on the east side of
What?
Germany.
What? Really? I mean, like Porsche,
Oh,
Audi,
really? I mean,
Volkswagen,
I know we've
kind of
been together
BMW
a
to
long
an
time,
extent, but they're
To
south.
be fair, the locations of headquarters isn't the sort of knowledge, it's just osmosis between a couple.
It's very true. It's very true.
I've also found out that is the right word to use. The barrier between brains could be called a semi-permeable membrane.
Yes, but that's diffusion, not osmosis, because osmosis is the diffusion of water.
Specifically, osmosis is.
No, I thought diffusion was not through a semi-permeable membrane, and what
They're
made it
both
osmosis was a semi-permeable membrane.
No.
Because I've been over this with a couple of scientists, because I'm like, was I an arsehole here? And the answer is mostly yes, probably not for that reason.
Oh, okay, sorry. No,
Oh no,
I'm
sorry.
corrected.
Osmosis is solvent molecules, but that is most typically water
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a solvent. So
This has gone
Yeah.
way too intelligent for me.
we've strayed into.
This is very
scientific
intelligent
terminology.
shitposting, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
So it's near Stuttgart, and it is on the Black Forest.
which is
on...
Porsche basically.
Okay. So you need Jurgen to. We need
To make me
convince
a,
Jurgen to make you
to make a 911 cape.
Yeah.
I have just messaged him.
Excellent.
Who's Jurgen again? Sorry, another name came up earlier.
So
but...
Jurgen got through to the semi-finals on Bake Off. And he
Right,
went
sorry,
out
that
this
was
week,
it. You
so
did
he's not in
mention
the
it, yeah.
finals, but he got through into the semi-finals. Yeah, there's a lot of. Honestly, I wanted Jurgen to be in the final. Couldn't decide on winner, but there was two people I definitely wanted
Okay.
in the final:
So-
Jurgen and Giuseppe made it.
Like,
and
yeah,
Jurgen
this-
didn't.
Spoilers for maybe people who haven't seen it.
Sucks to be them.
It's been all over the news.
It's been all over the news
'Cause
for
I
4 days.
There's a
I'm just
lot
trying
of
to be
people.
The good person.
There's a lot of people who've been on Bake Off and either have or haven't made it to certain stages. So what's special about Jurgen?
He's just
Oh,
a very
he's
nice
just a
German
very
man.
nice German
He
person.
makes very good cakes. Everything is acceptable up to now.
And what, we're just going to go on Twitter and go, hey Jurgen.
That's what she
I've
just
already
did.
done it.
Okay, But like, what I'm trying to get at is, it feels like the question I should have asked is, so how do we know Jurgen? That's actually what's inside. My
All right,
brain
we
that I'm trying
absolutely
to-
don't.
We don't. Right.
No,
Okay.
this
I don't-
is-
I'm just saying. he's
You
from
have
the Black
actually just
Forest.
found a random German person who.
It's
Has-
his account.
Has a chunk of fame.
Yeah. And he's a really nice
And he's a
guy.
really good baker and a generally nice guy
And
who
he's quite
might
good, and he's an engineer as well.
Right.
yeah,
That's the relevance. That's
who
the link.
might just go, why not? This seems fun.
Fair enough. Just tag Porsche directly. They'll do some stupid publicity stuff.
I was thinking you could ask like Reading Audi or someone to see if they wanted to join us.
Yeah, they did help us out with the wheel studs. Some little prior connection there. I'll just
There is a little bit where you have to kind of be concerned that it looks like clout chasing,
yeah.
and that's always iffy.
Yeah,
But-
which is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to avoid, because I'm painfully aware that of everybody that I've reached out to sort of join in so far, which is still an ongoing process, everybody's still bigger than us.
Yeah.
So it's
it's
very
like-
much
I'll-
like a. I know it's not. I'm not trying to coattail people. However, we just a bunch of people that we know.
There is
one way or
actually
another.
there's and this is mathematically observable. Most people their average friends are more popular than they are. So if you take if you sample all of your friends, on average, they'll have more friends than you do.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. And it's basically I can't remember exactly what the mechanic is, but it's effectively like a sort of selection bias, because popular people have lots of friends. They're very well connected in the network further on.
Yeah, so you end up skewing the results for everybody
because more popular people are more likely to be friends with you.
Interesting.
Unpopular people with relatively few friends aren't likely to be friends with you. So most of your friends will be the more popular end of the spectrum.
That's
and
weird.
there's some like I wouldn't
statistical analysis with Pedalbox.
Yeah, well done. Quality content you're all here for. Random tangents and all sorts of things.
Concurrent viewers has gone down to 2.
Really?
Okay, so
I
let's
can
just say
see 9.
watching now is 12 according to this.
Okay.
Yeah, just
So
bounced from 9 to 12.
unless we just dropped off the internet, 'cause I haven't seen much in chat. If you are still in chat, just like dot. Oh, Aid's definitely there. Unless we just fell off the internet, I'm still showing 12 people watching. So
Oh, it's gone up to 8.
I closed my session, that's why.
If you've left, you're awful and we hate you. Good riddance.
I've
Can
got
we
it
ha-
back.
can we have more cake?
Yeah, I'll just go make one now, yeah.
So yeah, that's actually something that you'll find. Like, as Pedalbox reaching out to people, of the people that we know, most of them will be bigger than
Okay,
us.
so Tom says he's DC 12 as well at the moment. So
But yeah, so it's something that I'm kind of aware of as I'm sort of drifting around the car world on the internet.
Yeah.
Because like you talk quite a lot with channels and Instagram people, and you like have active communication channels with people.
Yes.
I actually don't. I have very, very few sort of persistent conversations with people.
Right.
Because you have Instagram chats with. I'm trying to remember any
Van.
of the names. Van is the name I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
But loads of the folks we met in America and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't. I've always been quite bad at that sort of keeping in touch with people.
Yeah.
So I sort of hover around a bit. And that's why like, I'm always sat there surrounded by all of these people who are...
Emma's spot on there. Topics for tonight: models, probability, density of food items,
and
and some car stuff. Like
Yeah. Pretty normal, to be honest. That's kind of how we go.
Seems totally reasonable.
But yeah, and I'm always kind of aware when when I'm talking about Pedalbox and I'm trying to sort of pointing at, hey, you might like this thing. It always it feels, and I know it isn't. I know this isn't the motive.
Yeah.
But I'm always conscious that it feels like it might look like I'm just chasing clout.
Yes.
It's like, no, I just kind of like what I do and I want to share it.
Yeah. It was interesting actually when I was at the school. There was one of the guys I at some point mentioned it to, and then we ended up.
Sorry.
Don't forget. Tangent followed by tangent followed by tangent. Yes.
Sorry. Aid's
Aid's
last
workshop.
message just
Yes.
crippled all of us. I think.
Nah.
Having met and worked with Aid, I can assure everyone he is not a twat. Aid is a good egg. All of the Aids are good eggs, apart from AIDS, which is very much not good.
Not good. It's the old brain continuing on running there. A little bit of overspool on that. Oh, right, back on
Shall I
topic.
stop talking?
So, I don't think we've had anybody new in for the SD1 news, but the summary of that is it will be back in the new year, assuming we can then solve this water pump issue and get it fixed. I will take those pictures next time I see Colin and ask him if he can. Obviously, it's cleaned up, so if you can grab a new one of it cleaned up,
Yeah.
I'll message him because I need to pop down there shortly. Exactly that, Tom. So what was really interesting is for the last 2.5 years, I've been building up a roster of people that I know with cars that are interesting modified things in order to push it out. And in the last probably 15 months or so, there are at least 4 big channels north of 100,000 subscribers that I watched before then that did nothing about that. That since I went, hey, I'm going to do this, they've all started doing it. I'm like, either they saw what I was doing and it's the highest form of flattery to have your format used by somebody else, I will take it. Or I hit upon the same idea as everybody else sooner and was just hamstrung by the fact that I didn't essentially have
We're small and don't have resources.
yeah, I didn't have the resources to get to the places and find these things out, and mostly the time, because at the time I was full-time studying and working part-time as well, so like this is, and then COVID happened
And the plague.
probably 9 months after that, which then knocked it back again. But that's just been the same thing for so many different things. Yeah, basically that, Tom. I've got a couple of things that I want to put into place, but essentially I'm having to sit on them for a little while in order to push them when I have the resources, which hopefully, all being well, will be next year. That will all come to pass, and there are many, many cool things in the pipeline if it works.
But also, sir,
You all want it to work.
if Tom has any interesting ideas,
Yeah, if you do
Let us
have
know.
interesting ideas, like I'm big on trying to build a better community. So anything like that, I like to incubate things, and I don't think I've ever cut anybody out unless they deliberately walked away and went, "I'm done," and let me run on with something. Which I think, to be fair, was only LAN in a box, really. Which
See, I was kind of worried when I moved away to Pembrokeshire that you'd feel like I was cutting Pedalbox off.
I mean, you still come back.
Yeah, I mean, there is that, granted.
No,
That's why, like, I
no,
basically,
yeah.
I try to preface all of it with, but I will be back regularly.
No, so LAN in a box was an idea that I didn't have, but I was the first one to execute it in our sort of group of LAN goers, and it was basically just a one-piece flight case that you have a switch, a server, a bunch of cables, and you walk up to a location, plonk it down, roll it out, and everybody plugs their computers in, and you LAN game, and it's nice, simple to set up. And a friend of mine called Pumpkin, well, not called Pumpkin, but his handler
He's called Pumpkin, let's be real.
He's called Pumpkin, realistically. Very, very talented network engineer. He went, I have absolutely no... He lived in a flat in the centre of London at the time. He was like, I have absolutely no means to make or build this. However, here is a switch. And it was like a $4,000 switch at the time. It was a full gigabit Cisco 4800 with like 10 gig...
I'll just add this onto the list of today's
adapters.
topics.
Yeah, sure. Networking, yeah. And project development. And yeah, basically handed me that and went, will this work? Like, not so much will this work, obviously he knew it would work
He knew
for
it
that,
would
but he
work,
was
yeah.
like, I said basically I don't have this, that and the other to do it. And he went, there.
There you go.
So I built it, and it's a flight case. It's about, I think it's something like 30 inches by 24 tall by about 18. And you lift the front up, and it's got
And it
switch in
is
the
a
bottom
LAN
of the servers, and you
in
drop
a
it all
box.
off. And yeah, you roll into a venue, plonk it down, throw 40 cables out of it that are all contained in the box, plug it into the internet, and it has servers, like game server, hardware, proxy, switch, and everything else you need to run a LAN in a box.
You know what? It doesn't have everything you need. Remember, every self-respecting LAN now has a LAN cache.
I know. But to be fair, there are
It
server
could-
space
you
in
could
there,
put
so
a-
yeah,
yeah,
you could
yeah.
put a small LAN cache in there. You're basically, as long as you could build a LAN cache in a 1U,
Yeah.
it would fit.
That
I think
seems
even
doable.
to be fair, you could probably fit a 2U in there relatively easily, and then you could put a brace of like 8 or 10 2.5-inch SSDs in there.
The
and then you've got
question
a
is,
nice
how many
big LAN cache.
Wrigley's chewing gum sticks can you put in it? Just like slam it full of M2s.
It depends on what the what the
Yeah,
like,
it
caddy
wasn't a
capacity
serious
is, yeah.
question, don't worry.
But essentially, if you consider that there are 2 M2s to an SSD,
Yeah.
if
And
you've
then
got
some,
8
yeah.
bays, then
Yeah.
that's 16, and whatever the hell size they're
And then you run
out
out of PCIe lanes by the time you fit 4 of them.
Basically that, yeah.
You've got like that much storage and I'm done.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
full. So
What do you think of the Unify UDM Pro since we're on the subject of tech?
I haven't seen anything Unify for a lot. So I used to be a network engineer many years ago. That was my degree. I graduated 2006. Went into a data center. Went through.
You
and then worked
graduated
for
before Unify even existed.
Yes, basically, I literally did. So one of the lectures that we had on our course, a guest lecturer that came in and did stuff, was actually an expert in wireless communications, and he designed the original 2G telephone antenna that goes on poles for its lobing things, and that was his claim to fame. Effectively, is he built and designed the first 2G commercial unit for whatever company it was that made it originally. So yeah, he did that, and we all had to make Yagi antennas out of Pringles cans. And some of them were absolutely incredible and looked garbage. Some of them looked amazing and were absolutely terrible. Who knew? So, considering all of the things, see you later, Ed. Thanks for joining us. Do try and think on about putting a cake in as well. before you go. But yeah, I have been thinking about trying to put Unify in somewhere, and mostly I've always just had other things that would do the job without spending money, which is why I haven't unified the house, because meh. But $4 massive big project coming up next year, there will be an awful lot of Unify going into that.
Yeah. I feel like a house isn't really the right setting for Unify unless you work with it professionally and you want something to like train on and you're kind of using it as a home lab. It just feels overkill. Like, how many houses do you really need a network of repeaters? And
we
stuff?
could do. Yes. To be fair, in the place that we're in, 3 would be ideal.
Yeah.
Because you'd have one downstairs.
I will actually say
upstairs in the back.
Yeah. Saying those words in this house, knowing how awful my Wi-Fi
Yes,
signal
exactly.
was all the
Yes.
time.
Realistically, 3 is the answer that you're looking for. So yeah, that's and again, was a network engineer. I did have a lab with bits and pieces in, so it was one of those things. I just never. I actually spent all of my money going to the Nürburgring whilst I was a network engineer instead of
which I mean, really
doing more things. Which, to be honest,
can't
I think
criticise that.
I think aside from my career dying when I was inevitably made redundant and then off work for a period with a gammy leg, it's
I love
not
how like
really
inevitably
ideal.
made redundant, as if that's just
No,
well,
it's
Left on
rather
coax.
rather when I was to be fair, I joined a company that was the world leader in the EMEA. I say the world leader in the EMEA, you know what I mean. The leader in the EMEA hotel networking industry was bigger than the second and third combined, and had all of this cool stuff on the go. And yeah, I was basically told, so here is all of the coax networks, hotels. That's going to be your domain, and you're going to be keeping this alive.
Enjoy.
This is 2 years after the coax Cisco hardware we used didn't only go end of life, but it also went end of support. So in other words, you ask Cisco anything about it, and they just go, nope, I'm not talking about that. That's it. And that's what I was keeping on life support, and I was not thrilled. And having said that I wasn't thrilled about this, having basically been shown all of their beautiful big Cat5 networks that they've been installing in hotels, and saying I'm not particularly thrilled with this, when it came for the financial crisis, I got binned first, but yeah, is what it is. But I ended up in production, and I'm having way more fun than I did when I was a network engineer. So yeah.
It seems like a more fun industry.
Oh, massively. Like the stupid things that I've done in events and production, yeah. Hell yeah.
Sorry, just having a bit more of a scroll through David Hirakawa's Twitter feed.
Nah.
Just because I had nothing else to do and I just fancied looking at some more models.
They keep periodically coming up on screen. I'm like, shall I flick across?
No.
They are
So,
genuinely beautiful.
23 minutes to 10. Do you think that we can be signed off by 10 o'clock? This is the next big question.
We could be.
Let's try.
We won't be.
We'll
Do you want me
we
to
could
start
be.
a poll?
We're going to try. Yes, start a
Straw
poll for
poll,
what
yeah.
time people think we'll be done. 10 o'clock, 10 past 10, or quarter past 10.
Is this like a nearest without going
Or
past
after.
thing?
Yeah, nearest. Price is Right rules.
Yeah.
Nearest without going over. Oh, excuse me. So yes, we've actually done very little CAD
First
work.
guess is in at 10:23.
Is it? Oh, for some reason it's taking a lot longer to show up on web than it is on phone.
I was just about to.
It's a bit
I
annoying.
was just about to go. White Knight. You might want to think about that one. Then he goes the year.
Yeah,
right. Fair enough.
What times are we going for? I've got 10.
So we've got 10:23 from Emma.
Oh, okay.
Well, no,
the
this
year
is so this is a
21:10 from Aid.
this is a poll to
Oh,
like,
sorry, right.
click
what
on.
we
So
put
do
as
like 10,
options.
10 past 10, 20 past 10, after 20 past 10, and it's closest without going over.
Yeah, turns out Dad was watching. He's going to bed now. Night, Dad.
No. But yeah,
I think that's the first time my parents have watched a stream.
Really?
Yeah.
My folks watched the cake one that we did, the 4-year cake one,
Nice.
which was quite entertaining. That obviously escalated into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think. Can I vote? No, I can't vote. The poll came up, and
I
if
bet I can.
because I'm logged in as Pedalbox. Obviously, I can't vote. I can only end the poll. But you can probably vote.
I
yeah.
can.
But you're not logged in.
No, I'm logged in. I
okay.
literally can vote. I have the option in front of me.
Okay. Someone says after.
The question is, do I bet against myself or not?
Oh, I mean, really, is it betting against yourself if you're trying to bring it back on topic, or is it betting against me that I'm going to drag you so far off?
Well, no, because I could bet at 22:20 and actively sabotage the end.
This is true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really,
Like,
so
it's all
to
I
be
have to do
fair,
is we
we should be betting for 10.
We should be.
Yes. because that's what we're trying to gamble on. We're saying 10. It's everybody else who's doubting us.
All right. Well, I voted for 10.
Essentially, if you're betting for 10, then that is like, nominally 10 o'clock within a minute or so by the time the stream eventually kind of ends it. At least saying bye, but it will never end.
Lilac making the very fair point that all this debate about when it's going to end is actually going to make it end late.
Yeah, I know. I like it.
That is us in a nutshell.
Yes.
I gotta be honest, I've actually kind of run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I was kind of getting to the point where I was just going to sort of recap over some of the
start
stuff. Obviously,
we
we haven't actually done as much CAD as we were planning on doing because, A, the CAD that was done beforehand is done and actually superfluous at this point.
Yeah. Well, no, this is what I've got on the screen here isn't superfluous. This is still neaded.
Oh, okay.
I do need to get this cut and everything.
Right.
I still need to modify it very slightly. I actually need to give it a bit more meat around all of the all the surfaces. So I still need to modify it a bit more. I need to get that cut because that is what Dylan's going to build the build the tubular manifold off of. Yes. Also, this one bolt up at the top here is really, really annoying. Apart from that, it's all perfectly symmetrical.
I'm sort of surprised. Why is it?
I think it's so that no one is enough of a clown to put it on upside down. That's really the only thing I can think of. It's like a key.
Valid.
But it's a one-piece cast manifold that's that tall. If you put it on upside down, it's sticking out the engine.
Hater pipes.
Nearly. So actually, that's something that I was meaning to try and dig up earlier. So I'm gonna spend some of our 20 minutes that we've got left.
Yeah.
And see if I can dig up the pictures of the turbo kind of semi-installed in the engine bay.
Okay.
Because I've got a very crude turbo manifold already made up.
While you're hunting for that, I will discuss what is upcoming on the channel, because tomorrow for our patrons will be episode 88 of Pedalbox, which is us putting the front clip back on the Thunderbird. Now it's all been painted, which is excellent news, so that will all be doing well. What? I'm getting a weird look from...
There was a weird noise, sorry.
I think it's your chair squeaking.
It's my chair,
yeah. Yeah.
The usual.
It sounded like a child wailing. It was
No.
really
It kind of did, I'll be honest.
Yes, so for our patrons that will be going up Friday. Worst case it'll be going up Saturday morning, but I hope it will be going up Friday, as in tomorrow night, and it will be available for everybody else. No, you haven't QC'd that one. That's what I'm going to send you tonight, Aid, because I'll get rendering that. I can't remember why I didn't render it before. It is done. It is edited. It's all ready to go. I can't remember why I didn't render it. Oh well. Anyway, so that'll be rendered, uploaded. That'll be available for patrons. If you're not already a patron, you can be. You can go to patreon.com/pedalboxshow. Support us from as little as $1 a month. Although at some point I might try and switch that out to being pounds and pence, just because the dollar rate is fluctuating around so much. It's being really annoying. So I might change that to £1 a month.
It is important that a $1 a month donation remain a stable amount for people. It's got to be predictable.
Yeah. Yeah, basically that. It's a little bit annoying, considering all of our patrons are in the UK, and then we're transferring it to dollars and then back again. There's a lot of myths coming around through here, which is no use.
The SD1
so you can do that. You can also purchase some merch from shop.pedalbox.show, which we have t-shirts, hats, mugs. Admittedly, I still haven't got anything on. It's all in a box just there, and I don't want to disturb the box because it's a bit of a nightmare to pack back up. But t-shirts, mugs, hats, beanies, hoodies, you name it. We've also got new hoodies. We're trying to get some hoodies, like pullover ones that have coloured inside rather than just being the black as well. So that is on the list to do. Chris now has the pictures up. So admittedly, they've been up like on stream.
That was me getting them all open in the browser. So this is the exhaust manifold installed upside down.
Okay.
The interesting thing is the bonnet will close over that.
Really?
Not over the turbo, but it would close over the manifold that way up, even with this extension on. The bit that pokes up through the bonnet is the wastegate actuator.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
That would be really difficult. Well, that wouldn't be really difficult to move, but it'd be difficult enough to move.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is this is like a super goofy install. Like, there's no way I'd go ahead with this, even if it did clear the bonnet, even if I was willing to cut a hole. The other problem is that with this exhaust I'm bouncing around the pictures a bit. With this exhaust manifold mounted the right way up, it puts the turbo right there. Now you'll notice the intake of the turbo is trying to eat my engine mount.
That is suboptimal.
Yeah. Now, I'm not entirely sure why I didn't notice this when I spoke to Dylan about it. Right? Because when I was talking to Dylan about building this whole thing up, we were like, oh, we'll just put a little U-bend on the bottom of this here, because it actually breaks at this flange. Right? That's where it goes onto the two pipes that run along the car.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to unbolt there, put a U-bend on it,
Yeah.
which, don't get me wrong, very hacky, but I don't really care. And then sit the turbo on top. Now, to be fair on this whole plan, Dylan misinterpreted that a little bit. And he made
Is that the 90 that he welded?
Yeah, so he welded the 90 on.
Right, okay.
Which, like, that's part of the problem. But even if it wasn't for that, like, it would still be too low. Like, it just could not work. I mean, also, if you rotate it around another degree, you can see the intake pipe would be ejecting down. Like, and it all just gets a bit kind of crappy. Yeah. There's a reason turbos, or I'm guessing at least, there's a reason turbos tend to live a bit higher up in the bay than that. So yeah, I then tried mounting it upside down.
Right. Big scoop, big scoop, big scoop.
No scoop in the Rover. Especially not that far across to the side. Like, this is the suspension turret here. There's really not much. It looks like more gap there than it really is.
That's perfect. No, that's a perfectly reasonable spot for
just one
scoop
little
on the side. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Not on.
Yeah, obviously get a different bonnet. You wouldn't do it on that bonnet. You do it on another bonnet, a manky bonnet that ideally has some rust just next to the mid right hand side. Put it on that, and then like just wrap it in black, and you just have your black sports bonnet.
Whenever I want to go fast, I drive home.
Yeah.
I take the exhaust manifold off.
Yeah.
I put the turbo exhaust manifold on.
And the
unbolt the bonnet. Put the new bonnet on.
Yeah. Simple procedure.
It's like,
as easy as just like hitting sport mode.
I was going to say I
automatic.
don't think I could make this work like in a scene from Taxi. We just flip some switches and it all transforms itself.
I don't think you're thinking fourth dimensionally.
But yeah, one thing that is a little bit sad. As much as the turbo looks really big when I'm zoomed in on it there, next to the actual engine as a whole,
it's genuinely diddy.
It's not a big turbo.
No.
Like, it's fine for 300 and something horsepower.
Yeah.
Like, the turbo's got plenty beans in it. But we're all used to seeing, like, especially on a relatively big six-cylinder, we're used to seeing turbos that'll flow 1,000 horsepower. So this is going to look pathetic. So I've actually, let's see, if I search for twin turbo manifolds.
Are you holding it?
The one where it's down at the bottom is me holding it, because this exhaust manifold I unbolted but left fitted to the rest of the exhaust system. So I could only get it like that far away from the engine, so I couldn't mock it up with the new manifold.
It's not someone with very large hands making it look even smaller.
I mean, my hands aren't that small, but yeah, it's not like Andre the Giant hands. But I keep looking at these style of manifolds because they're really neat little 3-into-1 manifolds. You get two of those on an engine. And then all of a sudden, the two little hole sits look pretty beefy. The problem is I wouldn't spool them till probably about $3 or $4 grand. And now all of my drivability kind of goes out the window.
Yeah.
But they are really, really cool. I mean, how good does two turbos sat up there off the top side of the engine look?
Yeah, so an interesting
right,
one that we should probably look at some point is how to finish off the rest of the intake system into the car with a panel filter somewhere.
Yes.
And a housing for it. Now, I haven't worked out exactly how that's going to work. I know roughly where it will fit, and then it's just a case of two 90-degree silicons that drop into one into the top and one out the bottom, and it'll be perfectly fine. However, what I don't know is how to conveniently... It's how to find a decent panel filter.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, so I don't think they're going to be the only company that make them, but have you ever seen those ram air filters? So you know, like the standard big cone filter?
Yes.
I'm guessing you've also seen the cylindrical filters. And have you ever seen them as a canister unit? Where you have an enclosed pod that the filter sits in?
Yes.
I wonder if something like that inline could work. I haven't thought very hard about it. It's an idea that came up about 10 seconds ago.
Yes.
But that feels like something that maybe
the problem
has potential.
with the only I've seen
you just run that on the way up.
What I have avoided out of that is basically looking for a pre-built. Well, I looked at pre-built.
I do love that jig, by the way.
What's it called? Pre-built like airbox, as you say, a canister style airbox that would fit.
Yeah.
As much as like 3D printing one would be convenient.
It would be, but modelling is probably beyond our...
Exactly, and getting the panel filter to fit again would be easy-ish. if it's just going to be a square with a thing that drops over
Actually,
the top and
I was
screws in, that's
thinking
the
about it.
easiest way to do it because it's literally just two pyramids.
The modelling on this is actually probably, it would be one of the easier things that we've thought of modelling.
Which is pyramids with cones attached.
It would, it would basically be a
attached.
loft. It'd be a loft from
Yes.
that tube to that square. So, I don't know. I can try the modelling, and if I can't make it work, we buy something.
Yeah.
But like, it does actually have potential. We possibly could make that happen.
Oh, We Are Racing just joining us for the last 11 potential minutes of the stream.
if we manage the fastest
manage to
sign off
get
we've
out-
ever done, yeah.
If we manage to get actually finish accurately at 10 o'clock, then yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say you've got 5 votes from after 20 past 10. So
Oof, that's...
All right.
no
twist
one's
that
gone for
knife
20
harder,
past
audience.
10. Everyone's gone either before then or after 20 past 10.
Okay.
Is this
Literally,
like me
literally
looking
no
at the
one has
results real
said
quick?
bang on 20 past 10. Everyone, 56% of people are saying well after 26.
It's like, you're either going to make it kind of on time, or
Yeah.
you're going to be way late. No in between.
In the back of my mind, I'm like, somewhere between 10 and 10 past is probably where it's going to end up. That's my gut feeling. But yeah, it's going well, mate. We have been discussing a lot. I suggest after the end of this, go back and watch it from the start.
It's been an adventure.
Get that watch time up. But basically, we've got now I can do a proper little like summary. I have a reason to because somebody joined, which is what I was trying to do about 15 minutes ago and got ridiculed. So thank you. You've proved my point. So we've basically run over some stuff from the SD1 and why it's still not back here having more work because the water pump is duff because a gorilla removed it with what we think is a screwdriver and punctured a hole into one of the outlets.
Wrong
So it
picture.
just goes.
That one.
There you go. So yeah, that dent right in the centre there is
That's a hole.
pressed in
And
And
that's
it
it on
goes-
the inside.
right the way through. So that's not ideal. So that needs fixing before we can actually get it back over here in order to do anything else with it, like fit those brakes that you got literally last Christmas.
I still need to get rotors for those.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So yeah, so that was good. We also got
Actually, I
our
still need to get the calipers rebuilt.
exhaust is done.
I'm out to swap cameras there, Yola.
The
Freeze vision mixer.
super sexy stainless exhaust with
I do
its
love this.
admittedly slightly terrible mild steel end on here, but it is
Is
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
That's easy enough to cut off and replace, let's face it. So that
Oh, wrong way.
is fractionally out of focus.
Ah, well.
That's annoying.
This is... Why is this so difficult to coordinate?
Please hold. Can you put it on back screen? Oh no, I can
Oh.
see it there.
Quality content.
There we
It's
go.
fine.
Right.
You think that one doesn't move and the table
It
doesn't
literally
move.
doesn't move. The table doesn't move. Nothing on that rig moves. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Aid literally just pointed. Oh yeah, top cam slightly out of focus. I am well aware. Now it's not. So yes, we have lovely welds. This was all back purged down at Ignition Motorsport for us, which was really good. So this can go back on this weekend, and that is a completed system from the MAF all the way down to the exhaust tips, which is super. We do need to get a couple of gaskets, though, to join the back end on. And the other big news is a continuation of all of the news about the Takeoff, in which we are hoping to, if Yolanda can throw the picture back up on the back for me. There we go. The Pedalbox Takeoff. Yes, crumbs on the table. Pedalbox Takeoff, which, if you're watching, you should send us a picture of a cake that you have made, bought, done, whatever. If you buy it, then we'll probably go, oh dear. But you'll have taken part, and you'll have cake, which are both two excellent things. Taking part is good. And we'll be basically calling a winner who will get some merch from ourselves, Decimal 10, so we're going to see who else we can try and drag along with us also. We're going to have a judges competition, so there'll be a cake from us, a cake from DT, hopefully Nick's family going to make a cake, and we'll basically have a poll where we will decide who of the judges has the best cake, and then us as the judges, we will decide who has the best cake out of all of the entries on Twitter, not Twitter, on Instagram to @PedalboxShow using the hashtag #BunIsBetterThanGood, and we will go through and do everything, and it'll be great. I have no idea what you just clicked your fingers for and pointed.
I got the thing up at the exact one and it...
Okay, well done. completely threw me off.
Sorry.
I was doing so well. We got 6 minutes.
Waiter!
Wait. Garçon. Garçon means boy. Name the film.
Nope.
Pulp Fiction.
I haven't watched Pulp Fiction in must be nearly 15 years. I haven't watched it since being an adult.
Wow. Pretty sure it's Pulp Fiction. Now you got me questioning myself. I don't know why. So yeah, that's the plan, and there will be merch to win for first, second, third, be it stickers, mugs, t-shirts, whatever. We'll basically club something together and make a little merch pack, and then sort things out. Ah, Sean's joined us as well. Yes, such bun indeed.
As in Shaun of the Dev?
Shaun of the Dev.
The giver of engines.
The giver of engines.
The creator of horsepower. The bestower of horsepower.
Okay, now you've got me questioning. I thought it was in the coffee shop that they rob.
This is now a movie podcast.
Yes, I thought it was in the coffee shop that they rob, because he calls garçon over for a thing, and the waitress walks over and says garçon, it means boy, paws it, and then walks off. Whereas the one in Reservoir Dogs, is only just about the tipping.
Pulp Fiction.
It is Pulp Fiction. Yeah, it was Pulp Fiction. So success. No, it's not so much about the bill. It's
And it's
Mr. Pink that doesn't tip. That's what they're complaining about in Reservoir Dogs. I am in fact correct, because we checked with the internet at the production table. And some extra, White Knight clearly voted for after 2220 with his expert diverting of the conversation onto another tangent. Well done. Neatly pointed out. Emma obviously did before that, which is why she's...
Oh, here's a fun one. Those manifolds?
Yeah.
$1,500.
No.
No, indeed.
Right. I think we are actually basically done. That is a quick wrap-up of everything that's been happening. Oh, the other one that I mentioned was that there is a Thunderbird episode coming this weekend for patrons on Friday, and it will be out for everybody on Saturday. And that is us putting the whole front clip back on the car, which is really, really good, because it regains so much space.
Hey, you can finally get the engine out of the Mark II.
Yeah. And that was why...
God, it's been a year.
It genuinely has.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrifying, isn't it? Legitimately terrifying.
Still that moment when I was in the car and I go, don't be all pressure, don't be all pressure.
Yeah, oil. Yeah, that's sobering.
I should have punched you in the arm until you turned it off.
Yeah.
I really should have just been, pull the fuck over now, you...
Yeah. The damage was potentially already done by that point, to be fair.
Potentially, well.
Oh well, we live and learn, and ultimately have to rebuild an engine. Well, we learn what was dumb. It doesn't mean we learn not to do it again, but we definitely know. I mean, we knew what was done before, so yeah. Anyway, I'm actually going to wrap it up 3 minutes early. So if anybody guessed other than 10 o'clock, who's still in chat, you suck. Whoever did guess 10 o'clock, who's in chat,
hello, with me.
Yeah,
was that you? Was that you putting in our guess
potentially
for
among
us?
others. We've got 9 votes. One other person voted for 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we're achievers, overachievers. Yeah, we're early. We can even just
we finish as early as we want. Wait, hang on a second.
For another 2 minutes, and we're still on time. I mean, we're not good wizards, because a good wizard.
No, we finish precisely when we mean to.
Yes, but they're never early. We're a little bit early. So, 3 minutes early, indeed. Right. I'm actually going to wrap it up there, because...
At this point, we are just rambling, even more so than normal.
Yeah, we're literally just running out the clock at this point for that extra sweet watch time. Which isn't really in anyone's benefit, except for us, maybe.
I mean, if anyone's been good enough to stick around for this sort of waffle, they brought it on themselves.
Yeah, it's all your fault. It's not our fault.
If you watch, you're just encouraging us. You should just leave.
We ready?
We are in fact ready. We will see you all next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the episode tomorrow. See you later.